Good evening. I'd like to call the City of Oldsmar City Council meeting of October 17, 2017 to order. If you'll please rise for our invocation and our pledge, which will be led by PAC 38.
Our Heavenly Father, we are gathered here today with members of our community with a shared belief that we must treat each other with dignity and respect. In this invocation, I don't ask you to bow your heads, but to look up at what you can accomplish by working together. I don't ask you to close your eyes, but to keep them wide open to the problems that we face as a city. With your talents and insight, you can lead this community to a better future. As we work together on behalf of all those who live in this city, may you draw strength and encouragement from one another through compassion and reason. This we pray. Amen.
Amen. Heck, if you could come up here, come up to the front.
Okay.
There you go. Big one.
Flags right here?
Yep. There you go. Wait until they're up there. Who's going to start us off? Go ahead. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Nice job.
All right. Good job, guys.
Good job. Thanks for coming.
I don't know, Tom, they may be replacing you, I think.
Okay.
Mayor, can somebody tell us who they are and where they're from?
Who's their pack leader? Or do these kids drive themselves here?
Hi.
Hi.
We are PAC 38 from the West Chase area.
Great.
And we're here, we both are working on building a better future.
Awesome. They can start building it right here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. I know sometimes they promise you that we'll have a fight. I can't make that actually happen. Watch the guy down on the end here. He's a little cantankerous sometimes. So if you're going to take video, YouTube, that's the guy to video. So anyway, thank you for coming. We really appreciate seeing the youth out at our council meetings. Our first item on tonight's agenda is the Citizens Open Forum. It allows anyone to address the City Council. We only have a couple of rules that you keep it to no more than 5 minutes, that you state your name and address clearly for the record. And you can talk towards items on tonight's agenda. However, if you're speaking towards item 11, 12, 13, 14, or 16, those are public hearings, and I ask that you wait to speak to those items until we get to those items on the agenda. Having said that, anybody on this side of the room like to address the council? Yep.
Becky Afonso, 250 Strathmore Avenue. Good evening, Council. I just wanted to put on public record a thank you from the Florida Bicycle Association for adopting Resolution 2017-18 to support legislation to make texting while driving a primary offense. On a personal note, I don't often come before council and ask for things, but it is a comfort to know that this city council listens and cares about public safety on public roads. As executive director of the Florida Bicycle Association, it gives me confidence that this city, my hometown, has my back. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. And also, Becky, and I don't know if you know the number, but at Metropolitan Planning Organization, of which I'm a board member, we just did a resolution. We didn't have enough time to get it, but for pedestrian safety, and they were talking about the numbers of pedestrians in Pinellas County and how they compare to the statewide numbers. And Pinellas County pedestrian incidents are double what the state average, or what the country's average is. So.
It is startling, Mayor, and we did hear that at the Forward Pinellas Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee, so thank you very much.
Yep.
I'm going to share that resolution with the MPO and every municipality in the county.
Good.
Education's our next biggest step, so we've got to just keep spreading the word that we've got to pay attention.
If you can get a copy to Ann, I'll bring it up at our mayor's council meeting of the 24 mayors of Pinellas County and share it with them. So
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else on this side of the room like to address the council? No? Oh, I'm sorry. Come on up.
But we're waiting for the president.
You have to come up here.
I can't. You're waiting for the president? He's coming? Wow.
The president
I should have
of
put on
the
a
Oldsmar
tie.
Organic
Al.
Community Garden. Hi, Vita Canalungo, 2243 Christie Lane, Oldsmar.
Good evening, Council. Yeah, the OCG president, the new president, is expected to be here. But we did want to just talk to you about item number 19 and let you know what our plans were. Sorry, did you wanna-
We're planning an open house that coincides with the Veterans Day Parade that is already going on to hopefully gather some traffic coming and going from that event to draw them into our organic garden for the community. And also open the doors to vendors that can possibly be a part of the garden or open the gates to use that area outside of the garden.
Yeah, so in the past, the past 3 years before this, we've been really small with our open house. But since this is the 4th annual, but actually the 5th year that the OOCG is in existence in Oldsmar, we wanted to do it a little bit bigger. And at first, we couldn't decide whether we were going to do that or not. And I think I heard there was some question about what I wrote in the application, but I guess we can talk about that if you have questions. But so now we're hoping to do it a little bit bigger and to have the city co-sponsor it, to have your support, and yeah, like Susan said, to open it up to more vendors. And we're going to have actually a gentleman from Healthy Heritage Grass-Fed Beef coming to do a bone broth class to teach about the health benefits of cooking traditional bone broth, and also a speaker teaching about soil and the nutrients needed for your plants.
Awesome.
And we have around 6 vendors already
Yeah.
that confirmed if we get approval this evening.
Oh, if you get approved. Be on your best behavior. This could be the fight we were talking about. Nothing like picking a fight with the organic garden people.
We're rough.
Just for the record, for the millions of people that are watching, 10, really, 10. If you could tell us where it is and the time, and I know you said it's Veterans Day, November 11th, but where is it at and what time and things like
So
that?
in Bicentennial Park, and for the class and the speaker, we asked to reserve the Lynn Reeves Environmental Center, or shelter. So, yeah.
And it would be from 10 to
2
2 p.m.
This might be the first official event at the Lynn Reeves Environmental Education
Oh,
Center.
wow.
There you go, so there. Okay, be on your best behavior till we get to 19. Anybody else on this side of the room like to address the council? Suda, I saw you walk in. I can go to the middle of the room if you want.
Okay, thank you. Sudi Yanis Cologne, 402 Arlington Avenue East, Oldsmar. Good evening, everyone. Yes, I'm taking a quick breath from teaching dance classes to come out and share with the community. A huge thank you from my husband and I. We had a great group. Al, Eric, a bunch of others were there on Saturday. Walmart Drive filled the truck going to Puerto Rico.
Awesome.
We have wrapped last night 27 pallets, and we have not even shopped yet with all the great donations that have come in, which we're going to do this week.
Awesome.
So we wanted to say thank you to the city of Oldsmar, the community, Oldsmar Cares, famous pizza that provided pizzas for us, Grace and Faith Church, Community United Methodist Church. We are continuing through this week to collect donations. Our goal is tentatively for the 24th for our first shipment to go over, and we will be sending a truck and a half from Oldsmar by the time we get done. So the support has been outstanding. The blessings that we've seen from this, from when Hector and I first sat down and said, what else can we do to help? So thank you very much to all the community. You can still donate online at our PayPal site. You can make checks to OS4PR, and we will buy supplies, hopefully this weekend or by the first of the week, and we will be sending a truck and a half from Oldsmar Strong for Puerto Rico. So thank you, everybody, for your support.
Yeah, Al told me today at our meeting, he said the synergy
We
out there
worked
was-
them hard. It was great to see you guys out there, but yes.
To be honest, Al said he liked the dancing. So.
Was that it? Was that it? It was the synergy that was great. I mean, as soon as the donation would come in.
Al actually said to me about halfway through, we're standing there, and he goes, you know, Walmart, it's got the best people watching. I'm like, get to work, Al.
Oh, there's someone talking to you.
So we want to thank all of you, those that came out and worked so hard and sweated with us. I know we had a team of about 16 in the warehouse last night that has no air, no cross breeze, and we spent 4 hours solid, but we got definite 27 pallets wrapped. The truck will hold 26. So we're hoping to get another 8 or 10 pallets. We also know Grace and Faith Church has another big donation that a couple of the other churches have. So I think we'll easily be sending a truck and a half from Oldsmar. So thank you, Oldsmar, the community, the city, and council.
While you're making your message, what type of things could people, what's most needed?
To be honest with you, rice and Vienna sausages are what the Puerto Rican people, is there anyone Puerto Rican in here? No, I got one, rice and Vienna sausages, right? We got lots of great supplies. We actually are working with Vigo to try to get a pallet of rice because we know the people there will appreciate that. We do have the list on our Facebook page under OS4PR, and you can see any of the list of items from everyday needs. We actually ended up with, I think, 8 pallets of water. Just unbelievable in the donations. They just came out in waves, didn't they, guys? I mean, literally came out in waves, and the whole group would be going, donations, and everybody's applauding, and the Latin music is playing, and it was a great event. So thank you all for your support. Thank you, community, and City of Oldsmar.
Thank you. But I was out of Oldsmar almost the entire day.
I didn't know about the Vienna sausage, but Matt and I were in the truck for a little while packing stuff, and I was on can detail, and I kept noticing all these Vienna sausages. I didn't know why. Now I do.
Now you do. So
There you go.
thank you. Anybody else on this side? Anybody on this side of the room? Yep, Tony?
We do have a slide presentation, and we'll begin that in just a second. So before we start the slide presentation, I wanted to highlight something that a national organization saw our fallen soldiers battle. Let me start from the beginning. Tony Gross, 711 Sandleaf Avenue. Say it.
Craig Gross.
Same address, I assume?
Okay. And our last name Gross is no reflection on our personality, guys. So before we get started, I wanted to share with each of you a challenge coin that was specially made. Kathy Cody, who's the president of Angels Always Remember, which is a national organization that sends anniversary cards to families of the fallen, saw the picture of our Oldsmar's Veterans Memorial Park Fallen Soldiers Battlefield Cross, and it so touched her that she went ahead and commissioned to have one of these, all 4 of them minted. So we wanted to share that with you in her note. And Ann, I need that back. So Craig and I are here tonight to thank each of you and Oldsmar's Veterans Advisory Board for your past support to our family since Frank's combat death in 2011. We're waiting for the slide. There we go. Okay. Thank you, Adam. Since Frank's combat death in 2011, for allowing us to use Oldsmar's Veterans Memorial Park for special events for many years without cost. The next 11 photos are of those events that Craig and I hosted. And of course, that's our Veterans Memorial Park. And our first event was the Families of the Fallen Memorial Ceremony. And who could forget that? Who was there at that? Okay. And what happened? It rained torrentially, and Governor Scott, who was there, got soaking wet, as well as everyone else. But it was a beautiful ceremony, well attended. And here are 4 Fort Hood soldiers that were with our son when he was killed in Afghanistan. Next is, we were honored to host United States Central Command's General Lloyd Austin at an event. And then our next event was the dedication of the Fallen Soldiers Battlefield Cross, a project that we initially requested to have erected, but became an Eagle Scout project. Then, this was the final Families of the Fallen ceremony 2016. Several city council members spoke. Jerry Beaverland was one of them, as well as Congressman Gus Bilirakis, who has attended all 6 of these special solemn ceremonies. And we do thank each one of you for allowing us to hold those special events at the park without cost. And I'm going to talk a little bit about Memorial Day. It is different from Veterans Day. It's not a celebration. It's a solemn holiday to remember those who died in combat, those service members whose blue star turned to gold. And there's a little bit about the Gold Star Service flag. The blue star, do you want to show the boys? The blue star can be displayed in a home of the family of an active duty service member, and you just saw that downstairs, right? And the gold star means that a family member who was a service member died. And here are some pictures of some local fallen soldiers. Next, we have some pictures from Oldsmar's 2012 Memorial Day ceremony. The Veterans Advisory Board and City Council remembered our son's sacrifice and service by dedicating a park bench with Frank's photo etched on it. We hope that you will all go to the Veterans Memorial Park and see these things. And there's a former mayor. And several memorials have been dedicated to Frank's life. A baseball field at Oldsmar's Canal Park was named in his memory, where he used to play Little League Baseball. And then next, where you were just at, guys, Oldsmar's Historical Society Museum created a display of Frank's military service. Next up, former city council member and vice mayor Linda Norris helped design and paint a memorial mural of Frank and his artwork to honor all veterans and service members. And these 2 awards up here have been presented to Craig and I. And this one here is Oldsmar's Patriot Award, which we were presented in 2011, and then recently Oldsmar's Council Manager Award of Recognition in 2015. We love our community. Thank you, Adam. We love our community and have served it faithfully, assisting and working closely with the Veterans Advisory Board on several projects, the Eagle Scouts Fallen Soldiers Battlefield Cross, helping design and purchase Oldsmar's Purple Heart City flag right up front there, which is beautiful, as well as assisted with past Memorial Day ceremonies. Craig and I are deeply grateful to our community. Recently, Gold Star mother Jill Stevenson, Craig, and I attended last month's Veterans Advisory Board meeting. It was a productive time. We believe that the members do understand that Memorial Day is not another holiday to honor our veterans. It's not a celebration, but a solemn day to remember the war dead. Craig and I hope that Oldsmar's Veterans Advisory Board Chairman John Reckart and the members will vote to allow Jill Stevenson, who you all heard that night, to speak on behalf of the families of the fallen at Oldsmar's 2018 Memorial Day ceremony. It is our hope that a family member of a fallen soldier will be included and invited to participate in all future Memorial Day ceremonies, which might even be something as simple as assisting with the laying of the memorial wreath. During the meeting, board member Frank Chicola stated, and this is in the audio of the minutes, that The board has no control over the park, that they only get the keynote speaker. We have no control of who the dignitaries are. Who comes up, that's the city's babies, not ours, unquote. He states this at 34 minutes and 18 seconds into the meeting audio recording. If that's correct, then Craig and I would like to ask you to consider selecting from a list of outstanding community individuals to include one of them to speak and represent all Gold Star families and their fallen war dead at all future Memorial Day ceremonies. So we are asking you to consider allowing a Gold Star family member to speak and be involved in the future ceremonies. And of course, we would also talk this over with the Veterans Advisory Board as well. So we are asking you to consider this. Are there any questions or comments or concerns?
No, I mean, I don't know if that's the case or not. I wasn't aware of that. I know you're telling me that it's in the tape, but
Yeah.
I don't know that we have ever picked any of the things. We'll have to look into it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
That was part of the reason for turning it over to them, was so that they could coordinate
Yes.
all the people and make it kind of gel and make sense, so.
And that's what we thought. And then Mr. Chicola stated that the board has no control over the park, that they only get the keynote speaker, that they have no control of who the dignitaries are, that's your responsibility.
We'll just have to look into it. That's the first I'm hearing of it.
And I know that you will work together, and there will be a positive outcome.
I mean, Tony, I'll tell you personally, I would love to hear from, family members with, a fallen family member. I think that would be
We
very
need to
important.
discuss
so-
all this. We can't
Yeah,
do
so
it
we
right
can,
now.
I
Yeah.
mean, obviously, we'll speak with Frank and the board, but I can't see that being an
Yeah.
issue in the future.
I think we
so.
appreciate that.
And it's nice because the way they've done it, it kind of has a theme, or, they kind of all work together. They've been getting better and better. So, yeah, I mean, we'll look into it and see if that's the case. I don't know that to be the case, but we'll look into it, so.
I would suggest that Al get with the board and figure out exactly what the council has dedicated to who does what and when.
Right.
Yeah, I think it'd be good to clarify
Yeah,
who's responsible.
It just needs to be like black and white.
Sure, I understand.
We're being told different.
Yep, I
Thank you
completely,
for the list also.
Yep.
so thank you.
yep, we'll look into it, definitely.
And guys, this is the beauty of being part of a community, that you're able to bring your thoughts and concerns before the city like this, and they will consider it and talk about it and get back with you. So, guys, thanks for coming tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
Anybody else on this side of the room like to address the council? Anybody that I missed? You want to address the council? Anybody in the room like to address the council? Seeing no one, we'll close the citizens' open forum. I'll do the mayor's update. First item, a couple of recaps. PSTA Board of Directors extending a welcome to the City of Tarpon Springs Vice Mayor David Banther, who will now be representing Oldsmar and Safety Harbor on the PSTA board, taking my place. It was an honor. Adam's got a picture to be at the reverse osmosis water treatment plant. Congratulations to former city manager Bruce Haddock tonight. The city renamed our reverse osmosis water treatment plant the Bruce Haddock Water Treatment Plant. Well deserved. So that was great. The sign was donated by Dick Peck and his company over in the industrial area. So a lot of sweat and hours went into that. I think Bruce said it was about 20 years in the making, and we cut the ribbon in 2012. So anybody that lives in Oldsmar, the water comes from right behind that sign, a little sprinkler back there. So thanks for that. Upcoming events, the Top of the Bay Oktoberfest is this Friday through Sunday at Tampa Bay Downs. $5 for adults, kids 12 and under are free, and U.S. Armed Forces with ID cards are free as well. And I was out there today. It's a great time. It's probably one of the biggest Oktoberfest in the Bay Area, with about, weather permitting, about 20,000 people over the weekend. It's got carnival rides, log sawing, keg hurling, stein holding, and then on Sunday, it is the first ever, yes, wait for it, Wiener Dog Derby. So we're going to be racing wiener dogs out there.
And don't forget, Mr. Mayor, that the city council and
Right?
appointees, we have a team out there who will be working the beer booth on Saturday from 11 to 5.
11 to 5. If you need more information, you can go to oktoberfesttampabay.com.
What about the Volkswagen show Sunday
Oh,
morning?
Volkswagen show and the Wiener Dog in one day.
Antique Volkswagens, lots of them.
He's a Volkswagen nut, so, yeah. Also, the International Coastal, Oktoberfest, Deb Pauley over in the corner, raise your hand. She's got tickets to Oktoberfest if you so desire. We have not a whole bunch of them, but if you want to go to Oktoberfest, she's got free tickets for you. The International Coastal Cleanup, Saturday, October 21st, 8:15 a.m. at Mobley Bayou. You will meet there and I believe then disperse throughout the city, I think is the understanding. Ghostbusters Halloween Costume Party, Thursday, October 26th, 5 p.m. The Library Costume Contest, 12 and under, at 6 p.m., free and open to all ages. Haunted Happenings, Friday, October 27th, 5 p.m., Mobley Bayou. Costume Party, Haunted Trail, Casper the Movie, and it's free for 12 and under. Well, then I can't go, can I? Oh, that's right, we're judging. Community Coffee, Wednesday, November 1st, 5:30 p.m., Fire Rescue Station biannual meeting with the Pinellas County Sheriff's Department, free and open to all. This is a really good event. It not only talks about things in the community and safety issues, but it also talks about some things in the city. And I can tell you the one thing that they tell everybody is to just make sure that your door is locked. And I can tell you that I was a victim of that a couple of weeks ago. Not only did they break into my car, but my car was in my garage, and they got my briefcase out of it. So I did get my briefcase back, but not my laptop. Talent show, Friday, November 3rd, 7 p.m., Cypress Forest Rec Center. Residents enter for free to showcase their talents. Dan Saraki, we'll see you there.
You got it?
CPR and AED Heart Saver course, Saturday, November 4th, 9 a.m., Fire Rescue, last course of 2017, Learn and Save a Life, $30 for Oldsmar residents. Craft Saturday mini book sale, Saturday, November 4th, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. The library stop by, make holiday ornaments. Book sale begins at noon. Opal Youth Theater, Saturday, November 4th, 2 to 4 p.m., Cypress Forest Rec Center, production of An Empress, a Fawn, and an olive loaf? Okay, free. So that wraps up the mayor's minute. We will now get into our agenda. The consent docket is the first item, and we have 6 items in the consent docket. Approve the minutes of the June 20th, 2017 City Council meeting. Approve payment to legal counsel. Approve the request to waive bid requirement, and approve citywide fuel purchase for FY 2017-2018 from Port Consolidated Incorporated, PB 16-011. Item 4, approve the request to waive the bid requirements and authorize the purchase of a Toro Groundsmaster 4000D per the pricing, terms, and conditions of the State of Florida Original Contract 211-0000-15-1, PB 15-007F. And item 5 is authorize the city manager to advertise request for proposal RFP 2018-01 for the citywide janitorial services. Item 6 is approve the tentative agenda for the November 7th meeting. If nobody wishes to pull anything, I need a motion.
Moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion and a second. I'm just only disappointed that there wasn't a picture of the Batwing mower in there, because I wanted to.
I'm gonna pull one.
All right. What do you want to pull?
I won't pull.
Oh, pull 1. Okay. Item 1 has been pulled. Do I have a motion for 2 through 6?
I'll withdraw my original motion and restate it to approve the consent docket with the exception of item 1.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Okay, that passes 5-0. Item 1?
Okay, I pulled item 1 for a real reason, an important reason. This is not a history lesson. This is something that actually happened, and it affected this city, and it affected the council to the point where, when it happened, I left, and my terms was up in 1994, and I had no intentions of ever. I never wanted to be mayor, and I had no intentions of ever running again. And about 2 months after I was off, an item got on the consent docket that sent this city almost into hell. And the fact of the matter is, I blame the city attorney.
Not this one.
No, no. I spent a whole month setting up in the other building. I didn't go through hell, but I went through a period of time that was disgusting. He tried to get me impeached. I've been here ever since, and he's gone. Because I got him out. There was an item on the agenda that within 2 weeks tore this city totally, and I mean it, tore this city's residents totally in half. I became extremely disgusted because I never ever wanted to run again. And I sat in the audience, and the Citizens Open Forum went for 2.5 to 3 hours each time. Citizens got up and called the mayor and the council maggots, worms, idiots, morons. And I'll guarantee you, if I had been the mayor at that time, that would have ended it in the first 10 minutes, and I'd have had them all removed. You don't do that to this council. But anyway, it did. And I was sitting in the back of the room, and the mayor was going crazy, and the council was sitting up there being insulted like you cannot believe. And I finally went like this to the mayor, and then he finally said, well, there's some people in the audience that want us to end the open forum, and that's how he ended it. He didn't have enough guts to tell these people to shut up and leave. Okay. I went home and told my beautiful wife, we had accomplished a lot in 2000, 2001, 2, 3, and 4. And it's all went to hell because of that stupid item on the consent docket that nobody paid a bit of attention to. And it was over the power lines. That's enough of that one. But I say all this to say this. Gabby, do you have any idea why I pulled one?
For myself?
Hmm?
Is that addressed to me?
Mhm.
No.
Danny, do you have any idea?
No, I don't.
Eric? Mayor?
I didn't see
I do,
anything.
but I'd like to keep it to myself. No, I don't have any idea.
It's screaming at you. It is screaming at you. And it's going to be discussed again and again. I've already talked to the city manager and the city clerk, and I want to tell you that after discussion of all this, I totally agree what their plan is. Now, I am not going to tell you why I pulled it. Y'all figure it out. With that, did I say everything okay? Did I say everything okay? Okay. See,
Are
when
you
I,
suggesting that we didn't do a good job of reading the minutes?
I'm not
this time?
suggesting anything. I'm just suggesting that when I ran for council, I made sure that I was going to represent the people, every council member that ever existed in this city. In 28 years, I've missed one council member and one council meeting, and that was about 4 weeks ago when my youngest son died on council night. To run for the city council, you represent the city at every council meeting. That's what they elected you for. They elected you to be the eyes and ears for the city manager and for the city clerk.
Are you suggesting that we don't?
Did I say that?
No, I
I'm
asked you a
suggesting
question.
that we all need to.
Jerry, what do you?
I missed this for the, I missed this, and I told both of them that I have missed it for the last 4 or 5 months. Anyway, Mayor, I make a motion that we accept one and let everybody talk to Al and Ann.
I think it should be reviewed.
Or do you want me to tell you now?
I want you to tell us now in an open forum. Why not? It's public.
Why are we okay in the minutes 5 months late?
It was 5 months late?
5 months.
June, July, August, September, October. Now think about that. That tells you something. That tells you something is not right.
Why are the minutes so late?
I know they vary.
Directing that
Well, wait a minute, no.
City clerk.
I think you should talk to the city clerk and the city manager on that.
Well, I would say that the video, though, is pretty quick to be placed online, right?
Within 2 days.
Yeah, I can always watch the video right away, so,
That doesn't make it right.
well, I'm just saying if it's an access, like an accessibility to residents being able to review meetings,
That doesn't make what's behind this right.
well, what's the
So,
delay?
Talk to the city manager.
so I'm at, are you done? Because I have some
Yes.
questions that go beyond you.
I have made a motion to set number one.
It's not
It's not been seconded yet.
Sorry, so right now it's,
I'll second. and we can
Second for
discuss.
discussion.
Yeah.
thank you. What is the typical protocol on how long before we vote on the minutes?
We've been getting further and further behind, but that's because there's been a dramatic increase, especially this year with records requests. We make that the priority. So we
The
have
minutes
a
should be.
greater workload.
The minutes should be read at the next meeting. It always has been that way. And that's usually how it is.
It's not in our charter that that's the case.
It doesn't.
Well, I'm asking, well, I'm stating,
It doesn't have to be in the charter.
That is the standard that we shoot for,
Mm-hmm.
is to have them ready for the next meeting. But it's been accumulating and getting worse.
And I'm taking, look,
Okay.
I'm the one taking the blame on this. I should have caught this.
I've seen it before where sometimes we've approved 2 or 3 meetings, so.
But anyway,
well, now that we've dispensed with that old city manager, I'm sure we'll get it straight now.
I can guarantee it.
I mean, I would ask maybe, and maybe we need to discuss this at a future meeting, but is there something, Ann, that you're missing that the department needs to, in order to, some
That-
type of automation or something that we're lacking
It
in order
has
to
nothing
make
to
it more
do,
efficient?
has nothing to do with automation. It happens to do with scheduling, and the city attorney, the city manager and Ann is going to correct it.
Well, maybe that's legacy processes. I'm just thinking future,
Mm-hmm.
like this will happen again, or perhaps we don't talk as much at the council meetings and the minutes will be shorter and easier to get uploaded.
I don't know.
But, I mean,
But
is
Jerry, I
there
think you
potential
raise a good
future
point. I mean, I've
solution?
noticed it before, but I've never really thought much about it because I just peruse them before we vote. on
Well,
Yeah.
the way I picked up on it is because I have experienced it before. And before something drastic happens,
Sure.
In other
correct
words, it's incorrect in the minutes, and there's something that becomes a permanent record that shouldn't be.
no.
Because with us, I mean, I don't know if I don't remember if we did video at the timeline you're talking about.
See, I don't care about the video.
Well, I'm just saying, when it becomes part of the permanent record is when it becomes significant.
Well,
Right.
it can become permanent record there, but that's not the underlying problem.
Yeah.
The underlying problem is that it needs to be fixed, and these two are gonna fix it, and I'm gonna be happy,
Well, I
and
mean,
y'all will be happy.
I also think we probably need to discuss in the future if there's some inefficiencies or automation or something we can look at to make their lives easier if they're that far
look-
behind.
That's fine, but that's not the problem.
If I can make a suggestion, Mr. Mayor, why don't we leave it to see what they can do to improve it without taking any further action? So I'll move to call the question.
Yeah, and if I could just real quick,
You sure can.
Just-
Withdraw.
I mean, to the point, there are, they record minutes of all the meetings, so it's not just this. So I think maybe to Gabby's point, maybe we look at a process that helps the entire minute taking, not just the council, because there's,
What they're planning to do will handle the whole thing. It'll solve the problem.
Okay.
See,
And I'm going to add this, though, because I feel compelled to do so, that most probably don't realize how expanded the role of the clerk's office has become in terms of PR,
Yeah.
in terms of promotions, in terms
Bingo.
of all kinds of other
Right.
things.
okay, they're
And
gonna,
so,
they're gonna
Website.
solve
I don't
that.
want to leave there to be a perception that the clerk's office is not doing their job, because they're doing a really good job.
And how much
but-
of their time do we want them spending on minute taking if there are potentially options out there to make it a faster
that's
process?
up
And maybe
to-
we can ask some other cities what they're doing.
okay. I think we've got,
Yeah, I think
I think we've
so.
got some direction. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor for item 1? Aye.
I just brought it up for y'all's
No,
attention.
I think it's a good point, Jerry, thank you.
That's probably as close as we're going to get to a fight tonight.
We got more.
Oh, we do?
We
Okay.
still have the garden.
Oh, yeah, we still have the garden people. All right, so that's consent docket.
I'm sorry if I disappointed Joe. I'm not.
Perfect. We hope to see some healthy debate.
It's a
Good.
perfect segue for them to go.
We'll give you a second to,
Thank you for having us.
yep, thank you for coming.
Thanks for coming, guys.
Thank you again, everyone.
Thanks. Next item is the City of Oldsmar presentation of the Homer Brunson Ward Schreckengoss Award, and we'll run the video while I head downstairs.
The Homer Brunson Award, Schreckengoss Award, was instituted in 1991. And what it was for, it was for one of our workers here in the city that was chosen by their peers to win the Ward Schreckengoss Homer Brunson Award. And what the award is, it serves two purposes. One, to recognize an outstanding worker here that works for the city of Oldsmar. And the other, what it serves is that Ward Schreckengoss and Homer Brunson were both council members here in the city of Oldsmar. Ward Schreckengoss served as mayor for 16 years. His last year on the council serving was 1970. I had the privilege of serving with him on his last year. And Homer Brunson served 11 years as a council member and 1 year as a mayor. And this serves two purposes: to honor Ward Schreckengoss and Homer Brunson, and to honor one of the incredible workers we have in the city of Oldsmar.
And it's my pleasure to introduce John Derry, if you could come up here. Wife up if you want, Jill, because there's a check, and I know that typically goes.
You said check, and here she comes.
Well, this is a great honor because it's nominated by the employees. The council has nothing to do with it, and I'll read you what was written for John's nomination. Of course, we all remember the hurricane that we had. During Hurricane Irma event, John Derry led the utility maintenance team. Tremendous effort to successfully maintain city sewer operations due to the power failures. The pumps and lift stations would have been non-operational if multiple mobile pumps were not rotated throughout the city to keep things going. As a result, not 1 gallon of sewage leaked onto our city streets, thus sparing us from any environmental biohazard event we would have had in addition to the weather event we were experiencing. John spent 84 hours at the city after leaving his vacation in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, days early to return to the city, knowing he had a duty to maintain operations in light of the impending storm. John has been a faithful employee of Oldsmar for many years, whose efforts behind the scenes in keeping the city's utility in good working order are often unrecognized. He has earned the respect of his team and colleagues. In addition to his efforts during this event, the city has saved thousands of dollars over the years in outsourcing pump and lifting repairs and lift repairs. Due to the knowledge and skills of John and his team, they have the ability to do the work in-house now. I remember talking about that probably a year or so ago. So that was great. Thank you. Congratulations on that. And for you, I have a check. I'll go ahead and read this. It's the Homer Brunson Ward Schreckengoss Governmental Award presented to John Derry for his outstanding service, dedication, and leadership to the City of Oldsmar 2017 third quarter. Congratulations.
Being there's no minutes being taken here, I got a little story to tell.
Ouch. They're just not being reported, they're being.
No, I mean, I'm honored to have this award, but, I really believe that I'm shared this with my wife, and I'll tell you why. Real quickly, we were on that vacation. We just got to our cabin in Gatlinburg. It was Tuesday, the Tuesday before the storm, and we just got there, we unloaded the car, and we're like, wow, this is going to be good vacation. And then we started seeing the news come in, and we didn't know what we were going to do, and the cabin was vacant till Tuesday, and we said, we'll stay till Tuesday then, And then we both went to bed that night. We got up and we couldn't sleep, and when we got up in the morning, we said, you know what? we got responsibilities back here. And so we packed the car back up again that morning, and we drove south. And we got to the Georgia border and in Florida, and all the cars were coming north, and we were going south. And we figured, this isn't going to be good. So anyways, got back home, and I left my wife Sunday morning at 9:30, and I didn't see her till Tuesday evening. And she took care of family, friends, dogs. One thing that, when I first started here, they told me that that one day I would have to do this, but I never thought that day would come. When they said how huge this storm was, as a man, I'm supposed to protect my family. I'm supposed to protect my wife and friends, and I had to leave her. So it was kind of hard. So I left her to protect the city and help protect the city. So she deserves part of this award too, because she spent all that time alone taking care of everything. So I just want to
Give her the check.
I just want to thank everybody in the city.
Check.
Give her the check.
But it was. I'm grateful and honored to be awarded this. Thank you very much. Yeah.
It's because of employees like you, Oldsmar is the city it is today.
Thank you.
Here, get over here. He wants you in the picture.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Next is our City Manager Award, or Council Manager Award, and I will do that. We all take turns rotating on picking somebody, and these awards go to sometimes individuals, sometimes groups, sometimes companies that make a difference in the city of Oldsmar and represent what we stand for. And while residents may have disagreements with the city is big enough to know that we still appreciate the efforts that they put in to make our city the great city and be proud that we are. So having said that, I would like to invite Councilmember Seidel down here with me, if I could, because we all know each other, and if I could ask Matt and Sherry Clark to come up. And so I asked a little bit of history on how they met, and Sherry, so he wrote me up. No, he didn't. He texted me. So I wasn't sure if you were going to wear shoes or flip-flops. I bought flip-flops just because that's how we normally hang out. They met online back in 2006. They were initially dated by flying to and from the United States and Australia. He's Australian, she's from the United States. And for a while, until they realized at $6,000 a date, one of us was going to have to move. By the story tonight, you can tell who moved. After a week of talking to her online, he knew she was the one. After 2 weeks, I had already bought an engagement ring. After 3 weeks, he had flown over to the U.S. After 3 days, he proposed. And so I'm not sure you could say that they dated, but it did get expensive for 3 or 4 months before they moved over. So at any rate, that's the story of how they met. And the story about them, and I'll let Eric tell a little bit, is just we have a lot of pride in our city. All of us do. And you really showcase it when you do some of the things that you do. I don't know, I think your first encounter with our new city manager was when So I had posted something on Facebook to find somebody that trimmed palm trees, and all of a sudden I get a picture from him on a ladder in my yard trimming my palm tree with a piece that he had just gotten. So, and then of course we had the hurricane. And let me back up a little bit. There's a couple of other stories that happened before the hurricane. I know we had an issue with a deck in Gull Air, and you rallied a team around to go over there and correct this deck that they had that was not compliant to code enforcement. And so you just stepped right up. You didn't even ask questions. And then I was thinking of another one yesterday. I was with somebody that you now know, Jim's mom, a mutual friend of ours, Jim. His mom lives in the area, and she had asked me if I knew anybody that could do a little bit of work in her kitchen, because she just, wasn't capable of doing it. And it was probably the next day or the following day that Matt and Sherry were over there in their kitchen, tearing it up and redoing it and putting it back together for them. And I know she tried to give you a gift certificate. I just saw her last night, and you didn't take it. No, I'm sure Jim and Casey used it. So, but Patty's the mother of Jim Hickey, the pitching coach for the Rays. So they look out for each other, and they look out for the city. And, fast forward to Irma, and without even any hesitation or question, I know you were out there, and Councilmember Saraki was out there cutting down the former fire chief's tree that had fallen. I was following your post. There were probably hundreds of trees that you cut down of random people that you didn't even know. I know his Facebook post said that if you see a strange truck in your driveway and some guy cutting down your trees, that's Matt and Sherry out there. And I mean, it continues to go on, and I think it makes me proud to be in this city and be on this council around people like yourselves that really do take pride in this city and the people in it. And I just think that's O-Town. That's the thing. So I'll let Eric say a few.
Yeah, I'll just kind of echo some of that. This award, to me, sometimes it's an award, sometimes it's more of a recognition, right? It's recognizing that extra that we have and a lot of citizens. And the storm is a great highlight to me, because there are a lot of people in this community who did extra, right? And you know what? A lot of those people have been up here being recognized, some of those very same people. And I ran into Matt over the weekend. We were doing the Puerto Rico stuff, and he wasn't going to come tonight. And he and Sherry were like, wow, we don't deserve that. And I'm like, you have to come. Here's just a quick classic. Storm hits. Matt, and there are other people who were part of that. Matt and Sherry, they're out. They're clearing roads before our staff started getting out. I think our staff was still in assessment mode. And people's front yards, where it wasn't just a matter of a tree being down, it was a matter of them having access to their front door. And there's a woman right down the street from here, an elderly woman who's, she couldn't get in and out. She was just in the days like, I don't even know how to start. And of course, he's out there, and people think he's charging for it, right? But that's an example of doing more. And then, of course, with the ex-fire chief, and we went over and helped, and I don't know that Dan and I did a whole lot other than move stuff, but extra, right? So that same day, after we were over there helping clear out the old fire chief, the past fire chief, I shouldn't say old, right? The past fire chief's yard, I get a call from Matt, and in typical Matt fashion, he says, hey, baby, I have an idea. Sharon and I want to put on a barbecue for all the first responders and the city staff who worked through all those hours. Now, we'd just been clearing a tree all day. They've been doing it all week. And just one more little extra. And that says a lot. We need people that give that extra. And of course, I said to him, listen, I got to speak to the chief. I'm not sure if that's going to be okay or cool. I don't know who's still working. And he, typical Matt fashion, he's like, no problem, mate, but I'm going to do it anyhow. Click. So that's where that whole appreciation barbecue went on, and the council members got involved and helped supporting it and coming out. But this award sometimes is a recognition of those citizens who do something extra, and you two are perfect for it.
And to the point that you said that, he didn't really want to be here, he sent me all of that, and he said, here, do you need any more? We should be back Friday. And I'm thinking, really? You're going to do that? So it's my honor to present the Council Manager Award of Recognition, presented to Matt and Sherry Clark, October 2017. Checks in the mail.
Kind of humbled to get this. I didn't really feel that I needed it. Mainly because of the fact that during that storm, there was a lot of people out there working hard. Like, it wasn't just me. Cody Peters was one of them. Does it just turn off? No. He worked his ass off. He turned his house next door into a shutter factory. Sorry, did I say chocolate? Sorry, forgot. Sorry about that. But he worked really hard, and so did Nathan Stearns across the road from, what was he, from the Coast Guard. It was just amazing seeing a whole community come together. So to get an award, I sort of feel like, I don't feel like I deserve it, but at the same time, I get it. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you. Exact sentiments. We did have a lot of help. So many friends and neighbors. Like, the way the community came together, it was amazing. I'm sure you all have so many different experiences, but you'd go to the store and go, let me get that one more water if I can find some. And just walking to and from the parking lot, everybody is looking each other in the eye. Good luck, be safe, complete strangers. And as horrible as the situation was that we went through, it really was, it could have been a lot worse, but it gave me such a great feeling of, wow, humanity is still out there. And, you know, here we are. So thank you to everybody in the city for everything that you do, and thank you to all of you guys. As leaders of the city, it kind of trickles downward. So you do so much for the city and support the citizens, so thank you guys. Oh yeah, and our neighbor drove around live video, Facebook, to show whose houses were affected and whatnot, and we were up crying at crack of dawn, seeing our streets, but thank God we made it out okay.
Awesome.
Thank you, guys.
You two in the middle.
You two in the middle. Okay.
Oh, that's right. The seal.
I think it's a good sign.
Thanks, Eric.
A couple more, hold on.
Oh. You see that at the peak?
Yeah, I'm going to put it up there.
Congratulations. Good job.
Next item is proclamation, Friends of the Library Week, and I will go ahead and read that. Whereas Friends of the Oldsmar Library raise money that enables our library to move from good to great, providing the resources for additional programming, much-needed equipment, support for children's summer reading, and special events throughout the year. And whereas the work of the Friends highlights on an ongoing basis the fact that our library is the cornerstone of the community, providing opportunities for all to engage in the joy of lifelong learning and connect with the thoughts and ideas of others from ages past to the present. And whereas the Friends understand the critical importance of well-funded libraries and advocate to ensure that our library gets the resources it needs to provide a wide variety of services to all ages, including access to print and electronic materials, along with expert assistance in research, readers advisory, and children's services. And whereas the Friends' gift of their time and commitment to the library sets an example for all in how volunteerism leads to positive civic engagement and the betterment of our community. Now, therefore, I, Doug Beavis, Mayor of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, do hereby proclaim the week of October 15th to 21st, 2017 as Friends of the Library Week in the City of Oldsmar, and urge everyone to join the Friends of the Library and thank them for all they do and to make our library and community so much better. Dated the 17th day of October 2017, Doug Beavis, Mayor. And if I can get Gator and your gang to come up, and your lovely wife, Judy, more so. Now, sure, look at that.
Hey, there you are. I just want to remind everybody that on the, I got to remind myself first. on the 9th of November, we're having an author's night. We have 5 local authors who are going to come speak about their books. So please come out and enjoy it.
Oh, sorry. Can I hold that? Yeah, I'm busy over here. Oh, we got schools.
Squeeze in there.
Who would he be giving that to?
Me, apparently.
Oh.
Perfect.
I guess that makes sense.
Mayor,
Yeah.
the Friends of the Library are so very important to the library itself because the city council sometimes is really chintzy and we don't put what we should put for them in the budget. These Friends of the Library have actually bought many things the library needs where the city council did not give them enough money to buy it. So they're very important. I shouldn't say this, but I am, because I'm proud of it. My beautiful wife and I, over the years, and there's one person here that has been there most of the time. She's hiding out there somewhere. Yeah, there she is. My beautiful wife and I have donated in different ways almost $20,000 to the Friends of the Library. One particular thing, well, we've donated money, but one particular thing, I donated 30 books, first editions that were signed. And I told Jerry Walters, when you sell these now, because they had book sales, if I find out you don't ask $100 for a book, first edition, author signed, I said, I'm gonna take them all back. Because they sold them for $100 and more, 33 books.
Nice.
So anybody, if it's even $5, help the Friends of the Library because they help the library buy programs or anything that the city council is too chintzy to give them.
On that note, I will do the proclamation for Florida City Government Week. I don't write them.
Set that up any better.
It any better. And our new city manager, Al Braithwaite, is coming down. I'll go ahead and read it. Whereas city government is the government closest to the most citizens and the one with the most direct impact, daily impact upon its residents, and whereas municipal government provides services and programs that enhance the quality of life for residents, making their city home, and whereas city government is administered for and by its citizens and is dependent upon public commitment to and understanding of its many responsibilities, and whereas city government officials and employees share the responsibility to pass along the understanding of public service and their benefits, and whereas Florida City Government Week offers an important opportunity for elected officials and city staff to spread the word to all citizens of Florida that they can shape and influence this branch of government, and whereas the Florida League of Cities and its member cities have joined together to teach citizens about municipal government through a variety of activities. Now, therefore, I, Doug Beavis, Mayor of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, do hereby proclaim October 23rd through 29th, 2017 as Florida City Government Week in the City of Oldsmar, and encourage all citizens, city government officials, and employees to participate in events that recognize and celebrate Florida City Government Week, dated the 17th day of October 2017. Doug Beavis, Mayor, and I'll give this to you, Al.
Thank you, sir.
Let you say a few words.
Well, I think you pretty much said it all.
Well, then why'd you come down here?
The proclamation, just as the mayor said, is now probably more importantly than ever before. Local government is vital. We consider ourselves to be the most responsive to the people. I think that's proven day in and day out, and this is maybe our ceremonial way to suggest that everybody think about that, especially as the state legislature gets set to meet in January with some surprises for us. So thank you, sir, and appreciate it.
Why don't you, all of us come down, since it's a city. Thank you. Oh. My City Government Week Facebook fun facts. Am I supposed to read this? I'll read it while I get down. Florida City Government Week is part of an ongoing effort sponsored by the Florida League of Cities to raise public awareness about the services that cities perform and to educate the public on how government works. During Florida City Government Week, the City of Oldsmar will be posting various facts throughout the week on our city's Facebook page, facebook.com/Oldsmar, Florida. To be part of the fun, be sure to visit our page each day as we highlight different facts about each aspect of our local government, share posts, and be sure to add the hashtag #MyOldsmar as part of your post to be eligible to win the ultimate Oldsmar goodie bag. A winner will be selected the following week and announced on our Facebook page. Remember, you must use hashtag #MyOldsmar to win. And I did notice today that it was the City Clerk's Day on the page.
It's next week.
There's a warm. Did I not see it? Oh. Oh, I see. Hey, watch.
She holds my arm down, so I That's what it was? Mayor, I gotta ask you a question.
You're under oath.
I have to plead ignorance to this. What in the world is hashtag something something?
Pound.
I hear that all the time. Hashtag, but what is it?
With
I do remember that when I called
search
something
for things on
pound and
Facebook and
stuff.
other ways. We're gonna have to give them a demo.
Jesus.
Yeah. I don't know that we really want you to know what hashtag #MyOldsmar really means.
I have really been passed up in my life.
Yes, you have.
God.
All right, next item is the city attorney, and we have a couple of items for the city attorney.
You have 4 ordinances. I'm going to go ahead and read them. These are all second and final readings. Ordinance 2017-13, an ordinance of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, amending the future land use element of the comprehensive plan of the city by amending the land use designation on those certain real properties described as 3159 Phoenix Avenue, parcel number 222816966001100060, 3156 Huron Avenue, parcel number 2228169660, 0170220, and 3157 Huron Avenue, parcel number 2228169660, 0180080, as further described in Exhibits A, B, and C from the county land use designation of residential low medium, RLM, to the city land use designation of residential urban, RU, and providing for an effective date. It was a reading of ordinance 2017-13 by title only. It's a second and final reading.
This is a public hearing. Does anybody from the public wish to address this item? Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing. I need a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion on this item? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Seidel?
Yes.
Vice Member Saraki?
Yes.
Councilmember McKee?
Yes.
Councilmember Beaverland?
Yes.
Mayor Beavis?
Aye.
Second and final reading of ordinance 2017-13, amending the land use from the county designation of residential low medium to city of Oldsmar designation of residential urban in West Oldsmar, section number 1, block 11, lot 6, block 17, lot 22, and block 18, lot 8 is adopted with 5 votes for and 0 against.
Next is ordinance 2017-14, an ordinance of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, rezoning certain real properties described as 3159 Phoenix Avenue, parcel number 2228169660, 0110060, 3156 Huron Avenue, parcel number 2228169660, 0170220, and 3157 Huron Avenue, parcel number 2228169660, 0180080, as further described in Exhibits A, B, and C from the county zoning designation of R4, 1, 2, and 3 family residential district, to the city zoning designation of R3, residential 2 and 3 family district, and providing for the effective date. That was the second and final reading of ordinance 2017-14 by title only.
Thank you. This is also a public hearing. Does anybody wish to address this item? Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing. I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second?
Motion and a second. Any discussion on this item? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Sidel?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Saraki?
Yes.
Councilmember McGee?
Yes.
Councilmember Beverly?
Yes.
Mayor Beavis?
Aye.
Second and final reading of ordinance 2017-14, rezoning West Oldsmar, section number 1, block 11, lot 6, block 17, lot 22, and block 18, lot 8, from county R4, 1, 2, and 3 residential, family residential district to city R3 residential 2 and 3 family district is adopted with 5 votes for and 0 against.
The next is ordinance 2017-15, an ordinance of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, amending the future land use plan element of the comprehensive plan of the city by amending the land use designation on those certain real properties generally described as vacant land consisting of parcel number 22-28-16-9660-007-0040, parcel number 22-28-16-9660-007-0050, and parcel number 22-28-16-9660-007-0070, as further described in Exhibits A, B, and C from County Land Use Designation of Residential Low, Medium, RLM, to City Land Use Designation of Residential Urban, RU, and providing for an effective date. That was the second final reading of ordinance 2017-15 by title only.
This is also a public hearing. Does anybody wish to address this item? Seeing no one, will close the public hearing. I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on this one? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Sidel?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Saraki?
Yes.
Councilmember McGee?
Yes.
Councilmember Beverly?
Yes.
Mayor Beavis?
Aye.
Second and final reading of ordinance 2017-15, amending the land uses from county designation of residential low medium to city of Oldsmar designation of residential urban for West Oldsmar, section number 1, block 7, lots 4, 5, and 7, is adopted with 5 votes for and 0 against.
The last ordinance is ordinance 2017-16, an ordinance of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, rezoning certain real properties described as parcel number 22-28-16-9660-007-0040, parcel number 22-28-16-9660-007-0050, and parcel number 22-28-16-9660-007-0070, as further described in Exhibits A, B, and C from the county zoning designation of R3, residential 2 and 3 family district, to the city zoning designation of R2, residential single-family district, and providing for the effective date. That was the second final reading of ordinance 2017-16 by title only.
This also is a public hearing. Does anybody wish to address the council on this? Seeing no one, will close the public hearing. Need a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion from council?
This is going to be an incredible project when it's finished.
Yep, absolutely.
And it has taken us 65 years to get here.
Pretty quick, huh?
Yeah, it's been.
Hey, but at least
Would know that.
Jerry, were you there at the beginning?
he was mayor.
Were they doing the minutes on time back then? I just want to.
They weren't videoing.
Let me tell you this. When I first got on council in 1907, I can't remember ever getting a minute.
They chisel them in stone. They chisel them in stone. And he's got them in his house. Not hearing any other discussion, please call the roll.
Councilmember Sidel?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Saraki?
Yes.
Councilmember McGee?
Yes.
Councilmember Beverly?
Yes.
Mayor Beavis?
Aye.
Second and final reading of ordinance 2017-16, rezoning West Oldsmar, section number 1, block 7, lots 4, 5, and 7, and rezoning from county R3 residential 2 and 3 family to city R2 residential single-family district is adopted with 5 votes for and 0 against.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item is our city manager, and in the interest of the people that are here on items 18 and 19, if it's okay with the council, we're going to move those ahead of item 15 to allow them to move on.
Okay.
I think that's fine.
I think that's fine.
Good enough. There you go.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 18 is a request for council approval to waive fees attributed to the Relay for Life of Oldsmar and Safety Harbor. It is our annual event to be held on Friday, April 6, 2018 at the Oldsmar Sports Complex. The estimate on fees to be waived is $700, and the details are in your packet. This is a community-based fundraising event supported by an all-volunteer staff for the American Cancer Society. Many of our own employees have been dedicated supporters for years, and none have been more dedicated than our own city clerk and her staff. I'm honored to say that I'm on the City Relay for Life team, have been consistently amazed at the energy put forth by a number of our own employees for events like this. Staff recommends approval. Felicia Donnelly, our Legal Services Director, is available to answer any questions.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve in a second. Any discussion?
Great work.
Any question? Yeah, it's great.
As always.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 5-0.
Thank you. Item 19 is another request for council approval to waive fees associated with the Oldsmar Organic Community Garden Open House to be held on November 11th, 2017, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Lynn Reeves Environmental Education Center at 423 Lafayette Boulevard. The estimate on fees to be waived is $816, and the details are in your packet. The Oldsmar Organic Community Garden offers gardening plots to the community and provides educational information about organic gardening, performs community outreach, and helps in building new relationships in the community. The garden is on city-owned property. Staff recommends approval, and once again, Felicia Donnelly, our Leisure Services Director, is available to answer any questions.
I make a motion to approve it.
I second.
I don't know.
I don't know, they haven't really been very behaved.
Yeah.
Oh, please.
We could have tortured them and make them sit through the site
Well,
plan and development agreement.
That was
but-
cruel. When I looked at the
I
agenda, I'm
know.
like, who did that?
Yeah. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. 5-0. Thank you. You're free to go. Go plant something.
You better have cookies.
You've been eating all day.
Hey, leave me alone.
They better be organic, Dan.
Yeah, organic cookies.
Thank you for all the time that you volunteer. and
Yeah,
put in.
absolutely.
We appreciate it.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Moving on, item 15 is a request for council to approve an amendment to existing agreements between the city and Swift Mud covering the Oldsmar Sports Complex and the trail which runs along the east side of the Lake Tarpon Outfall Canal. The amended agreement updates the 1996 license agreement and its 2016 extension, extending the term of the existing amendment for another 2 years. The current license agreement expires on October 27th, 2017. Our ultimate objective is to seek a consolidated management agreement within the timeframe of this extension so that the city can consolidate all existing agreements with Swift Mud and additionally receive permission to construct the elements of the Oldsmar Sports Complex master plan on additional acreage currently owned by Swift Mud. Staff recommends approval. Felicia Donnelly, for the third time in a row, our Leisure Services Director, still our Leisure Services Director, is available to answer any questions that council may have.
I feel like we should ask a question just to make her get up.
Justify her trip.
Justify,
Look at
yeah.
her, she's already up. She's ready.
Oh, please. Yeah, come on up. Tell us something.
I'll make a motion so we have for the purpose of discussion.
I will second that.
Motion and a second on the floor. Come on up. You can come up.
Now discussion.
Tell us about it. What's going on? What's the latest? Do we think we're going to get them to actually ultimately bend and give us the property that we want?
Well, Mayor, can I comment on that?
Ask her a question.
Okay, she can answer it, then I'm.
Oh, thank you. Thanks.
I am hopeful.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, she answered it. Now, I want to make a
That
comment
was
on
restraint.
This is important.
Okay. Everything is.
Well, not everything I say is important.
I second.
I think what we're going to do on this, Felicia and Al, we're going to see just how good you are at communications and influence on the next one we do on this. We will probably grade you where you get,
oh my God,
if you get the whole area.
I think that's a very good point, Jerry. I mean, this was practically a gift to her. I mean, you know.
I don't know.
And Al too. Al's new as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So that's
On her.
I don't know that we're going to get all of it completely, which is fine, but I think we'll get enough to do what we want would be great. So,
Well, the path that has been conveyed to us by Swift Mud is through the Cooperative Funding Initiative, which we put in an application to really find out what the extent of a dredging project would look like and where those spoils may go. So the application includes from pretty much the top of Oldsmar Sports Complex down to Sheffield Park to look at those opportunities. It also includes looking at if there is a need for dredging, then is that fill material have a market value to that? Does it have to go on land, or would there be a potential marketable sale for that, which then could alleviate the need for the property? So that is the path to the consolidated management agreement that Swift Mud has laid out.
So this extension is just so we can get through that interim term.
And I think to that point, and I don't know how much council knows, and those listening, but I think they've really kind of given us the tools to help answer the questions for themselves, because they basically didn't know what the plan was, what it looked like. They basically needed something for their file to document down the road why they extended the agreement and what they were doing. So to your point, I think this really does favor us, because if everything turns out good and it works well and they can dot their I's and cross their T's, I think we'll go a long way towards that. To that point, if it doesn't have a market value, I just want to remind everyone for the record that Matt Spohr, who is the city manager of Safety Harbor, has indicated that there is some property in Safety Harbor. Didn't really volunteer it, but anyway, there's some.
Swift mud is the problem to start with. They're the ones that created the whole damn confusion on it. And there's land on the west side that they can put all their spoils on.
But it's in Safety Harbor. It's in Safety Harbor.
Yeah, right. If they had, well, Safety Harbor doesn't own it. Swift Mud owns this land.
Yeah, no, but it's in Safety Harbor. That's all I care about.
Yeah, it's in Safety Harbor. If Swift Mud had done their job to start with the Corps of Engineers, we probably wouldn't be facing this right
I
now.
hope they don't watch this tape.
Cut the recording.
Yeah, cut the recording.
Hey, I don't care. I'll tell them to their I have told them to their face.
I know. I think they're a lot, I haven't worked with them in a little while, but I've read the articles, and I think they're a lot easier, I guess, to work with than they were. I think the governor has really kind of reeled them in quite a bit, so hopefully, they've had some changing of the guards too, I think, in the
They can
board
do
level.
to them what they did to the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council. It'll
Yeah.
be wonderful.
Yeah, chop them off at the knees.
Yeah, chop them off at the knees.
Yeah.
And I think it is important to note too that the Four Rivers Basin Plan that was put forth and the original development of Oldsmar Sports Complex specifically mentions the coexistence of recreation lands.
Good.
So Swift Mud, giving us that path is giving us a path.
Good, yeah.
It's like a way to help ourselves.
Yeah.
Correct.
To help them at the same time, but, I think you're right. I think the intent is favorable.
Yeah,
certainly.
Absolutely. We don't know what the outcome's going to be, but if it's favorable, I don't see why they wouldn't. So they wouldn't go through this if they ultimately didn't want to do it anyway, so they wouldn't even waste our time. So, any other questions of Felicia? Mr. Beaverland, you have anything else? No substance?
I can if she likes.
No, that's good. Huh?
Get an A grade tonight?
Yeah. All right, we have a motion and a second. If there's no other questions, all those in favor?
Yeah.
Aye. Passes 5-0.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 16 is the first public hearing on the development agreement between Oldsmar Towns LLC and the city for construction of a 50-unit, single-family attached townhome subdivision on city-owned properties located adjacent to the Oldsmar Public Library and between Arlington Avenue and St. Petersburg Drive. Pursuant to Section 14.7.6 of the City of Oldsmar Land Development Code, there will be a second public hearing scheduled for the November 7th, 2017 council meeting at 7 p.m. in the Oldsmar Council Chambers. Final approval of the development agreement will be determined at that time. The Planning Board met on October 11th, 2017 and recommended approval of the development agreement with conditions. The vote was 4-0 with Board Member Tilke absent. Staff recommends approval. Marie Dauphiné, our Planning and Redevelopment Director, will present the results of the staff report and is available to answer council questions. Also, the developer's representative, Tony Tanico, is here and has requested to make a presentation.
Good evening, Marie Dauphiné, Planning and Redevelopment Director. As the city manager said, this is an agreement between Oldsmar Towns LLC and the city of Oldsmar, and it covers the development of a 50-unit residential townhome development. The units range in size from 1,560 square feet to 2,100 square feet. The essential terms of the agreement are the development shall contain 50 residential single-family townhomes. The proposed building height of 3 stories, the maximum is 4 stories, up to 55 feet is permitted. The design of the structures will be consistent with the architectural guidelines of the Town Center Development Code, and based on the rendering that's in the development agreement, it's depicting Mediterranean revival. So we'll be working with the developer to refine that plan. The final site plan shall be consistent with the requirements of the Town Center Development Code and Land Development Code. The developer will provide access and utility easements required for public utilities and city emergency vehicles substantially in accordance with the conceptual and final site plan. The developer will be required to construct School Street from Arlington Avenue East to St. Petersburg Drive East, and that will be dedicated to the city. And the developer will be required to buy into the city's stormwater system at a cost of $121,000. Parkland dedication fee shall be $157,000. So, as the city manager said, the planning board recommended approval contingent upon the bollards being used on School Street, similar to how they are used in the system to prevent access along School Street. So if there's any questions, I'll try to answer them.
Can you submit that for the record?
Yes, and I'd like to submit the staff report into the record.
Any questions of staff?
Are you excited about the designs?
We're still working with the developer. He's made, significant progress in achieving that Mediterranean revival look. We'll be able to kind of massage it a little bit as we go through site plan review. He does have the arches, the grill works along the building, so the exterior of the building must be stucco, and we'll have to go through a lot of other requirements.
Look very modern, but anyway, let me ask you this. They okayed it 4-0. The board did with conditions. Is there any conditions that we need to know about?
That one condition as far as the bollards on State Street,
You know what those are, Jerry?
they're similar to AMC has them.
I'd never heard the term before.
They're at
that's why I-
Sheffield Park. They
Are
have
they
them, and
along
they
the
come right out
trail?
of the ground.
They put them in front of the gas pumps. They're the round posts that keep you from running into.
But they can be removed in the event that you need to remove
Could we,
them.
I guess to that question, could they either be removable or like at Sheffield Park, they're hinged so they could be laid down in the case of an emergency and an emergency vehicle needed to get in there?
I don't think that we've really got into any
Okay.
kind of details and whether or not that's really
Have 'em permanent.
something that we're looking for there on State Street.
If they,
Their only condition?
That's the only condition that the planning board recommended. Staff is not recommending that.
and I guess I don't know if I ask this question now or I ask it when the developer gets up here, on the amenity area, can we put I'm sorry, I apologize, can we put restrictions or define what they actually intend on putting in there, and then Tom can revise that and put it into the development agreement? that
There hasn't been
ties
a
in?
lot of discussion on the amenity area. I think it was some discussion at the planning board, but there were just ideas thrown out, so we don't have any kind of plan to look at right
Maybe
now.
it's a question. for
We'll
the
ask
developer.
the developer when they come up then. Okay, if there's no other
Well,
questions.
other than being a little ignorant of what we're talking about here, where are the amenity?
If you look down at the lower right,
It would be
In that triangle?
close to that proposed School Street area, so right here. So this is School Street, and then these are the houses on Arlington, and then it's basically at the back of that, on the opposite end of the main entrance. Would be probably barbecue grills, things like that, I would imagine, maybe some
maybe a
amenities,
swing
but-
set or something.
Yeah, who knows?
Makes sense, and it's
Buffer.
not a big lot, so you can't really develop it that intensely.
This is a two-part question. Does Dave Tilkey's email do we record that at all, or does that get put into anything as like a public comment? Just because he's on the board, but he was not there, but he did make comment via email. It's public record because it's an email, obviously.
I mean, you could
Right, I
potentially
simply
read it.
just emailed it to you all so that everybody would have it.
Okay. Second part of the question is just for public discussion is, it's my understanding that one of the board members that did vote lives adjacent to the park, or adjacent to, he's one street over from School Street. Is that correct? Is that Rinboer?
Yeah, but
He's across the street.
he's across the
Oh, he's
street,
across the
right?
street.
Mhm.
Okay.
And Tilkey
And
lives
Tilkey's right there too.
Next to
But
it.
one of them, my point is that one of
He's
them that lives
closer
right
to the
there.
library side.
Okay.
Well, they would have probably voted against it. Maybe
Actually, it
not.
was 4-0.
No, but Dave didn't vote, right?
He wasn't
Oh, he
there.
didn't vote.
Wasn't
But his
there.
email did bring up concerns around the amenity area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
and he's been here before saying
Yep.
he was against the School Street.
And I asked for clarification that he wrote that email, I think, before the bollards were discussed. Is
Yeah,
that correct?
it was
Yeah.
Yes.
earlier, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
But staff still is recommending that we don't have the bollards.
Right.
Thank you. Applicant? Hope you had fun tonight.
Yeah, it was great. Thank you. Well, it's not over, so I don't know. Ask me again in a half hour.
Yeah.
Well, hello again. Nice to see all of you. Tony Tanico, 36181 East Lake Road, Palm Harbor, Florida, 34685. So I did have just a couple of slides I wanted to show, some more for discussion if we need it. I am proud to say that I think we accomplished both tasks that we were sort of tasked with. One was from Councilmember Seidel to come up with a value, and I think we have that, and I'm sure, I don't know if it's in the packet or not, but certainly we have it.
Yes.
And the other was, what is it going to look like? And I think we're prepared to discuss that. And so what we have here is the site plan. We know that basically you have the spine road, I'll call it the spine road, that's School Street. It goes from St. Pete Drive down to Arlington. I know that is a topic of discussion. I want to let the council know that we're impartial to that. We're here to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. And so we're here to kind of work with you whatever way we decide to go is best for the project. Off of School Street, we have on the west side of the project, we have what we call fourplexes. Those are buildings that have 4 units per building. On the east side of the road, we have sixplexes. Those are 6 units per building. If we could go to the next slide. Madam Clerk, do we have another?
There should be a controller there.
Oh, do I do that?
Aim it back towards the window, maybe.
Yeah, aim it towards that window back there. Just
And what do I do?
there you go. You did it. You did it.
Go back.
You went too far now.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. So there's a fourplex. As I said, I think they're beautiful too. Thank you. And I think I said that last time. They're going to meet or exceed the city code. I happen to think these are beautiful. What I want to point out is it's an urban design. When we first approached the city, that first meeting, as I mentioned last time, was back in February, and it was with Marie and Bruce. And we had sort of a traditional townhome development. They basically said, pack sand, get out of here. This is not what we want. We want kind of more of an urban development. And so this product is unique in that it is an urban type product, and I'll get into that in 2 more slides. But this is what you see here is our fourplex. There's our sixplex. And this is what I wanted to sort of point out here. So this would be kind of the northwest corner of the project. If I can direct your attention to the left side of your screen, you'll see St. Petersburg Drive. And to the left of those buildings, I put front, rear, just to show where the fronts and the rears of the building are. So typically in a normal townhome development, what you have is the road, the driveway, and the front door. These have what are called mews in front of them. And I've taken a picture of some mews. The bottom is a render, and I should say the top is a picture. That's a Baldwin Park in Orlando. If anybody's ever been there, it's a beautiful community, redeveloped naval base. And it's an urban walkable community. And that's what the mews look like. And so that's what is designed for this setting, which is befitting of downtown Oldsmar. And so we're excited about that. It's a unique product. You won't find a lot of it throughout the Tampa Bay. It does very well. It's and sort of, in my opinion, works towards the trend of urbanization, moving people back towards the city and walkable community. And I think that's the goal for the project, and certainly a community redevelopment area. So I don't think we could get a better fit for the project.
Before you leave this.
Yes, sir.
Are you showing us a picture that's going to happen?
I think he's showing that as an
That's
example.
the rendering. I don't have a rendering of.
Those two photos up there, are we going to see any of that foliage?
I think he's talking about the top one, the top photo.
Well, even the bottom one, you'll see something similar to what's in between those 2 buildings. I
That's
think.
what I'm asking you.
The answer is no, these are not the project.
No, I know that, but
Something similar.
Is the foliage going to look like that between the buildings?
Yes, yeah, of course. I mean, is it exactly that? No, it hasn't been
but
designed, but
Is it going
yes.
to be like that?
That's the intent, absolutely. Absolutely. So as you can see, your front door faces the front door of the house across the street from you. It creates this urban type community.
How many feet
know
is
your
that?
neighbors. On our plan, we have between 47-ish and 50 feet.
Between the
the fronts. That's correct.
I have a question, I guess, if I could, and I don't know if this, is that drawing on the rendering on the left, is that from the site plan? I guess. it is,
Yeah,
'cause
so it's
I'm
just a
looking-
blow-up of the site plan to kind of
That's
understand.
my question is there not going to be a sidewalk along School Street that we're going to dump that sidewalk?
There
at?
will be, that's just not shown on the plan.
Okay, I
It's a-
didn't want us to walk them right out into the street, so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And is there garages on the?
The garages are in the rear of the building. There are 2-car garages in every unit.
Okay, that's good.
Good, thank you.
Okay?
Can we ask you about the amenity area, what the plans are for the amenity area?
Yeah.
Heard the question, so.
Yes.
We'd like to kind of lock at least maybe what's not
understand.
going to go in there.
Yes, okay, and so there's obviously neighbors to the south, and so we want to kind of keep that down to a minimum for that reason. And so I think what we've decided is that it's a sort of a passive green space, park-like setting, where maybe you could take your visitors and have a barbecue or spend some time, throw a football, throw a frisbee, et cetera.
Perfect.
I mean, I think we're fine with that, yeah.
Is there any intent to later try to make it a pool area?
That was a topic of discussion early on. That was asked by the planning board as well, and at that time, we to some extent got the cart in front of the horse in terms of figuring out the amenity. And so since that time, which was again on October 11th, we've decided that we're going to sort of back off that and be cognizant of the neighbors. And so no pool.
Because and I'm just giving my opinion on it. I think that you're putting in what I think looks beautiful as a project.
Thank you.
It's surprising when you're looking at it as a product that it doesn't have a pool area. You would think that would add to the value of selling out the units and everything else, but.
And if I could, to that point, Hayes Park nor Tuscany Woods, it's very similar because they're designed for millennials, a lot of them, and I don't think either one of those.
Well, we consider
what I was going to say is that, and it was some input from one of our citizens, but it's too bad. I think it would make more sense if there was an actual barrier wall that had shrubbery on one side of it. I think that would probably be more acceptable to those who might be objecting to the project. It'd probably be a good solution for you, not super expensive, and perhaps opens up the amenity area to future use because it's blocked off. So it's not going to be a hindrance to the neighbors, but it would be investment of putting up maybe a concrete wall that looks nice where you put shrubbery on the one side of it so it doesn't diminish the project and ensures peace and quiet for those neighbors. And, does that mean that ultimately maybe a pool could go there? Probably.
I'm surprised, I am surprised. That would probably change my mind how I was going to vote, that Eric hasn't asked you to donate that land to the city with a pool.
I was going to.
Pick up on him, huh?
You picked up on it.
I'm working on it, Jerry. We're working on it.
I would vote for it if you would do that.
To that point, though, I thought you're working against yourself here because this will give you 50 people that would rally around your community pool.
Well, I'm not saying go build a pool, but I'm looking at it from a practical standpoint of the value of the property and also the privacy of those citizens who abut the property. I don't believe that School Street should be in this. But we're talking two different subjects, so.
Even School Street could benefit if you'd ask him to donate this land for a pool.
We could
School
drive to
Street could be part of it.
School Street.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, I don't think they want a community pool.
Tony, our community has a pool, and it's a nightmare. I mean, what has happened over the 20 years of our existence of this pool is we have kids, high school kids that come from different neighborhoods and go in the pool, and they throw the chairs in the pool, and I'm just glad you said you're not putting in a pool.
Dan, they're not going to build a
HOA
pool.
president issues.
They're not going to build a pool.
In regards to the barrier on the south side of the project, the east-west side of the project, we're certainly okay with that. We would ask that there be, maybe at our option, concrete walls tend to be expensive. There are less costly and better-looking products out there than that. And so,
Well, why don't we ask them to, that amenity part is next to one of the nice pieces of land we own, and they can just do the whole damn thing.
Well, it
Because
does
that
say here
lot-
landscape.
That lot next to School Street, we own it.
We'd go through the same process as.
You see this?
Right now. And it happens all the time.
It says, look, it says
I know what you're talking
landscape.
about.
It says right there, landscape buffer.
So I
Right,
guess,
that's probably landscaping versus wall.
Okay.
I guess my question for moving this forward, and I was just talking to Tom, what I would like to do is lock down that amenities area, whatever is agreeable to the developer and us, really us ultimately, whether it's some landscaping and very passive park with grills and potentially a playground. And in talking to Tom, if 5 years down the road, the community or the HOA wanted to come in and do something, the development agreement would have to be changed to reflect that, which can be done, and he said is done all the time. So at any rate, I don't know what the thoughts are on that, but to move it along, I'd like to at least have it dictate in the development agreement for the next reading that it's going to be this type of a park.
we're certainly fine with that.
Okay.
And then if we can go on to the other subject that I'd like to discuss, if you don't mind, and that is School Street, that cut through. I don't know why we have it there. I understand, we've talked about safety and walkability and everything else.
You want me to tell you why we have it there?
Sure, I already know, but go ahead.
Because it's been bugging our beautiful and incredible city manager for the last 20 years, that he wants School Street to be opened up to something. He didn't really care where, but School Street has always been very important to him, and I don't know why.
Okay, well, look, here's the reality. If you look at Oldsmar, I know the concern that was expressed was about safety. Having one road in and one road out is not ideal. However, we have it in Bay Arbor. We have it in Emerald Bay.
We have it in the preserves.
We have it in the preserves. We have it in Wellington Estates, which is a fairly new project, which had plenty of opportunity for multiple entrances and locations and exits. So I'm going to say that I've never heard of us having some kind of emergency that was created because we had one way in and one way out. And we got multiple locations that
But
are
we
set
don't
up
have
that way.
multiple locations in the downtown area. So what I was talking about with Al earlier today is, yes, safety is a big primary reason, but we also have to think past this development, future development on St. Pete Drive, what we think might go there. Like if we think about the study that the students did for us, it had townhouses, it had amenities, it had restaurants, et cetera, all on St. Pete Drive. This could be 10, 15 years from now. So what usually happens in downtowns when you have those types of amenities is sometimes those streets become pedestrian-only streets. Sometimes those streets get shut down for events, festivals, craft fairs, Armadillo Run, for example. So yes, right now that second entrance may not be necessary, but if we can go ahead and open it up, and maybe we potentially limit it with some, ballards or something, so that future use, it's there and available, or if, God forbid, there was an emergency, it is there. That would be my reason, because we have to think about not just the current residents that don't want it there, but the future residents that are going to live in that community.
Yeah, let me tell you something, Gabby. The future residents who are going to live in this project, they're not going to want it there either. You know why? Because it's a security problem for them.
Yeah,
I will guarantee you that the people who end up moving in there, they're not going to want that back entrance there.
They're not going to use it.
They're not going to use it. And think about it this way, in terms of walkability. So I guess the strategy would be, we're going to send people through this private community to get over somewhere else. It's just, you know what?
They're not going to do it. They're
Well,
not going to do
One,
it.
there's going to be foliage, muse. I mean, it's a lot better for them to be walking down a nice path to St. Pete Drive, to our downtown, to our library, versus having to go all the way down Arlington. You know, like I said, the example I gave was West Chase, West Park Village. I mean, we do run clubs through there. All the streets are connected. Nobody has a security or safety issue there. I mean, everybody goes from the end of one neighborhood and walks directly to the downtown, past and people are outside, they're mowing their lawn, they're waving to the runners. They don't feel like people are going to, rob them or burglarize their houses because they have access by them. It makes them feel like they're a part of the community, everyone's there together. I just think, just because we have it in other subdivisions, and look how disconnected those subdivisions are.
They're not disconnected because they don't have two roads there.
But the walkability
The
isn't there.
walkability is still going to be there, Gabby.
The
I mean, that's not
walkability-
changed. It's going to be proximity to what we ultimately end up with downtown. And I think that ultimately, that's the goal, that this project is a good fit because it supports that.
You know, we're actually doing this whole thing backwards. That was, I don't know if anybody was on the council when this was all. When we decided this particular piece of land, we bought it all. We bought it all for a reason. The main reason was to develop the intersection at St. Pete Drive and State Street, especially that where the rats and the peanuts used to be.
Mickey's Peanuts.
And then whatever we developed there would dictate how we would develop further until the council. And that was the idea of our city manager back then. How he changed this, I have no idea. But that was the program, was to develop that corner in such a way that we would have a lot of walkability all the way through it. I'll guarantee you, Gabby, write a dissertation and convince me that people are going to use School Street for walkability. Who is going to use it? The people on Arlington aren't going to, and I'll guarantee you the people that's going to live here, why would they walk to Arlington? No reason. So the walkability thing, to me, doesn't even deserve.
Well, and here's the other part of this, and that is that we own that land, right? And so there's nothing to say that in the future we could make it a path.
The path is fine. Okay, we own the land next to it. We could develop, this makes a whole lot of sense to me. We could develop School Street and that land next to it, a huge lot that we own. We could develop that into something, maybe a park, and then maybe have a walking path from this development to this park.
I can
We own
tell
a
you,
lot
if
of
they don't
land
want a
there.
street there, they certainly don't want anything else there.
I just want to say one thing.
They don't have we own it. We can do what we want.
What I want to say is I kind of agree with Gabby, especially the part about the future generations.
Oh, if the
for that
future
street.
generations aren't going to live there.
Sorry, Jerry, I'm going to just say what I have to say. I agree with Gabby on this point because the future generations of the children that move into this city are going to have a place to get through.
Where are they going to go, Dan?
They're going to drive down Arlington and they're going to have fun and go to the park.
The future generation is already there. Their houses are already
There are
there.
new people moving in. The street should go in there, and I like the idea of the board approving the ballards. I like that.
I think that is.
Well, you can
moves
pay for
towards
that
something
at
that's
your next
compromisable.
election. Go ahead.
But
Can I chime in if I could?
Yeah.
A couple of points have been made, and I appreciate it, and that's why I love this council, is because we definitely listen to each other. I would disagree with you on the second access. Living in one, I cannot tell you how many times I wish we had a second entrance or exit out of there. Both from an accessibility, we have looked at, I've been there 17 years, we've looked at going to the west towards the light at Lockheed Martin. We couldn't make it work. We were trying to make it look to go to the east through Chicks and the power easement to come out at Forest Lakes. We couldn't make it happen. It was a couple of weeks ago or maybe a month and a half ago, a terrible accident right in front of, I brought this up at the last meeting, right in front of our neighborhood, and you could not get in there. And to the point about blocking off State Street, I don't know if the council got these emails, and I don't know if anybody knows the exact neighborhood, but the complaints that come when we do some of those runs down in Old Oldsmar, is it Country Club or something? One of them down there only has one entrance, and we basically block it off, and they've had some people that have had some emergencies and could not get out because of the run. They had to get out and get medicine. They couldn't get out and do it. I'm in favor of, I like the fact that the board, including one person that lives right there by it, approved it with bollards. I think the bollards needs to be, either removable through a pin or hinge so that they can go down for safety purposes. I do also think, let me finish, I do also think, to Gabby's point, and contradicting what Jerry is saying, I do think that some of these people in the future are going to come out on a bike to Arlington, because not far from there is Bicentennial Park and the Mobley Bayou Preserve with the dog park and the organic garden that we just approved tonight, the zip lines, and I mean, I think we're trying to get away from our cars, and so I think that connecting and being able to go that way, it flows. I mean, that's what that whole area is about. So I do think it needs to be restricted. I don't think necessarily you need to have cars go through there, but if you're going to do that, it needs to be hinged so that an ambulance can get in there.
I would say, and I thought about this earlier, is to your point, as a resident, the ability to have a second access, to be able to leave that way if you needed. I mean, couldn't we always add ballot, like in the future, if, say, traffic became a problem or the residents that live there started complaining that there were issues with a lot of cars coming in and out? I mean, is it necessary at this point in time to add that? Is that something we could fairly easily add, or even adding a speed hump at that exit?
Oh, my God.
If we need, but you know what I mean?
know.
Like, we do these things in the future if they become an issue.
Yeah, have you
I'm
been to
wondering-
Sheffield Park? Have you seen how they come out? There was a situation.
They hinge and they lay down.
Yeah, the one I'm talking about is the big Wilderness Bridge. They come right out of the ground. There was a situation where the emergency crew had to get through, and they pulled them right out of the ground, and they go right over the bridge.
Yeah.
And
Well,
to
I'm
your
just
point-
thinking for residents that live there that would like, I'm just saying we may be putting the cart out there before we even need to. What if it's a non-issue?
To your point, I think you could go either way. You could put the bollards in and remove them down the road if they wanted to have it open, or you could have it open and add them later, 6 1/2 dozen. I would probably, as a way to have some compromise, I would probably, if we're going to have the road, I'd rather have the bollards there. And if it turns out that that community wants them and the people around there, then you remove them.
Doesn't that make any sense? You're talking about the future generation, and now you're talking about destroying the future generation. Y'all make up your mind.
No, we're not talking about destroying the future generation.
You're talking about closing it off now.
I'm talking about limiting access.
She is. If something happens, we can close it off later down. Well, how about the future generations? They don't want to close that. I mean, it's just.
Well, as long as they're removable.
I tell you
think
what.
that's fine.
Let me tell you this. I'm not so much concerned about this. I'm concerned about the next item on the agenda.
Okay. I get so 2 questions of the applicant. Can we get some somewhat guidance from you on verbiage so that the city attorney can add that to the development agreement as far as the passive part? As far as the passive part, just if you can kind of tell us the kinds of things, and he'll draft it. If it's grills and potentially playground, small playground, or whatever you think that you envision there.
You want to do that tonight?
No.
Yes, because he's going to add it to development. I mean, some idea.
I can make a motion that has additional conditions to it, so that it's.
Or that it won't include.
I think it's fair to say it will be a passive park.
Not going to have a vote tonight. This is not a voting issue.
Oh, I thought it was a voting.
No, because you can't approve the agreement tonight and then approve it again, the next time it comes up. So this is just for your consideration.
Then why are we talking about it?
You're going to give direction to me as to whether or not the development agreement is drafted the way you want it, or it needs additional changes. When it comes back for the second public hearing, that's when you're going to approve it.
I would ask if.
Fair enough. Tom, we're not going to vote on this tonight?
No, sir, you're not going to vote.
Then let's go to the next
under the
one.
impression we were.
No, that's why you have a second public hearing.
Well, you haven't.
No, I'm sorry, we're not going to do that. If we need to add some verbiage to the development agreement, we need to do it now and have it for the second hearing. Which we would have the second hearing anyway, and we'll just approve it there. So it's not,
It's not going to delay it?
I don't think so. No, we would approve it at the next one. We have to have 2 public hearings. This is
I
one of
understand.
them.
Okay.
So, if it says a passive park, it will not include a swimming pool at this time.
We
You
can
know,
exclude things, we certainly can come up with language that's acceptable.
Yep, and, you know, it might include things like, you know, a playground or a, you know, some grills area and a picnic area.
Okay, you have your direction now. What are you gonna put there? And let's just go to the next one and end this conversation.
No, I have a question.
Now,
before we
hold on,
go
Jerry, okay, let's,
We're saying a lot of words and we aren't gonna vote on it.
no, but we are
It's not
voting.
an ordinance,
It's-
though.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if we're voting on it or not.
That's to me.
Okay, well, I'm sorry. You can run for mayor next
Why are
time.
you sorry? You shouldn't be sorry.
I'm not, really, to be honest with you. So he's gonna draft that. Is that similar verbiage, and then we'll add that in there?
Completely acceptable.
And do we want to add the verbiage of, at this point, excluding a pool? Or will we, by the verbiage you write, it will?
It's going to specifically say no pool.
Okay.
And I'll get with him on the other language. I've just got it down as a passive green space with a park-like setting. And then we can add in, for example, whether or not you're going to provide benches or those types of passive type things.
And I'm also asking about the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And you can come up with something
You mean
that's,
like a fence?
that's acceptable.
Wall, not fence, wall.
Well, it doesn't have to be a block wall,
There's a difference.
something that,
Well, how big is it? Was it 15 feet? Is that what it was?
it's not a prison.
We
wall.
have a 15-foot landscape
Yeah,
buffer on
15
the
feet.
south side of the
But the
project.
landscaping is different from,
Similar to what they did at Wellington, and they did it
Right.
at Tuscany Woods.
Very similar.
Tony, have you considered like maybe a playground, a small playground?
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah,
That's gonna
if
be
you
part
would,
of
I'd
it.
like to give that some thought, but I think the passive park-like setting is our preferred
Okay.
route.
Tom and he will work that language
Okay,
out.
okay.
I just have one other question.
Yes, sir.
There is a difference in the development agreement and the sales agreement as to the acreage. You've got 3.78 acres in the development agreement and 3.79 acres in the purchase agreement. We need to nail that down to
Yes, sir.
make sure that we've got it in, correct in both of those agreements.
And we can do that.
Okay.
Mayor,
Yes.
can I also interject? Tony, I think this will clean the other thing up, but we still need the legal description, which is probably, will take care of that.
I think the intent of the way the purchase and sale agreement is written is, once, the order of events is, once this is, and if this is approved, and we'll start our due diligence, which will include surveying and putting together a legal description, and then that gets inserted into the purchase and sale agreement, and that's customary for our practice.
It's also an Exhibit A of the development agreement,
Yes, sir.
so there's nothing in there right now. It needs to be before we sign it.
Did not know that.
Yeah, Exhibit A, it's blank.
Exhibit A is blank, and that's supposed to be a legal description? Yeah, and that's, I think.
That's what we assumed you needed in order to resolve the discrepancy between the 3.78. and the
No, we
3.79.
don't necessarily need that. No, we don't necessarily need that. The idea of the legal description is that it comes after the surveying's done. The surveyor will write that at that time.
Does the city need
You have
that?
it. in order to have one
And
to
the
sign.
intent is it's inserted into there. I think it says to be inserted upon receipt.
Okay, my point is, in order for us to sign it, it needs to be complete. It's in there now, it's a good Exhibit A. We're not going to sign an agreement that doesn't have Exhibit A in it.
The signing will occur after the second public hearing?
If it's approved, yeah, let's,
Just take it for
all of it
granted,
needs
what
to
he
be
just said.
completed by the second reading. We
Okay.
need both
We can do
agreements done by the second, so that there won't be any questions later on as to what was agreed to.
Okay.
okay, then one more issue before we move on.
ballot.
And I think it needs to be resolved. I think we have two people, and I'm just assuming by what I'm hearing, that two people that would prefer not to have School Street, and three people, as I am hearing it, that would like School Street, but with limited access with bollards. So that's what I'm hearing tonight.
would compromise if it has the ballot.
Okay, then,
I don't know what the word compromise means. Explain that to me.
When
all right.
we don't agree,
Hey, you're the one that
and
wants
we
to move
agree
on to
on
the
something
next.
in between, and we're both not happy.
You want to move on to the next item, you can look that up.
Yes, I do.
You can look it up online, what that means.
Okay, I'll look it up online.
So, do you need any direction from us? I think we have consensus. Well, it's 4-1 that want School Street with limited access.
The School Street is already included in the development
Correct.
agreement, so I'm just going to be adding removable bollards. So I've got 4 issues I've written down. One is the confirmation as the acreage. Tony's going to help us with that. The amenity area language needs to be added for sure, making sure that no pool is going to be placed there. And then we're going to discuss the issue of the wall around the amenity area, not necessarily the project, but the amenity area.
Okay, let me ask you a question, Tom.
Yes.
I know we have ordinances about our walls. Can they build a wall higher than 6 foot?
It's limited to, I believe it's limited to 6 feet.
Well, there is at this present time, and actually it was because of me, there is a wall in this city that is 8 foot.
Usually that's when you're separating residential and commercial areas. These are 2 residential
That's what we're
areas.
doing.
No, these are two
residential.
residential areas.
If we pass,
Homes and homes.
you're going to open up a can of worms.
I'll do what I want.
Okay?
They're both residential.
We just changed the zoning on the rest of it.
I'm not sure I'm following you, but the amenities area is adjacent to residential on both sides. So I don't know that that applies.
Well, it may not apply. I'm just asking that there is a development here in town that.
But is it 2 different uses, residential and commercial, or residential and industrial? I could see that, but
No, it's residential and in C2 or C1 or something like that.
I'm fine with 6 feet, so.
Me too.
I didn't say I was against it. I just asked a damn question.
Okay.
Can we do it to 8 feet?
Okay.
Well, I have a question. So Eric, you had mentioned a concrete wall, and I believe that was to kind of mitigate sound. And Tony had mentioned, there were other more cost-effective. So do we really need to have a fence barrier if it's not going to be concrete? It's not, what if it's wrought iron? Then that doesn't really mitigate any sound.
Well, I don't think that he would come back with something that's wrought iron after we were talking about.
But I mean, you know what I
If
mean?
you, actually, what I was thinking, if I may interrupt, and I apologize for doing so, I think Tuscany Woods is a good example. So sometimes it's a masonry fence, sometimes it's plastic, but it's almost a cobblestone look.
Okay.
Very nice looking. I think would fit the project well.
It's one that falls apart.
And that's kind of what I have in
It's
mind.
one that falls apart real easy. Go ahead.
I would be fine with that, though.
Okay.
It looks good, and it accomplishes, Look, my whole thing on this has been, there are a lot of people who feel like we're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, that's fine.
With getting a project like this in here and some of the other projects we're doing, with all the other condos, and we're getting the downtown realigned, we think we'll make real progress on it. But there are a lot of people who don't want any of it and feel pretty adamant about that. And you can't ignore that. I don't believe it's the majority, but it doesn't matter.
Well, it's enough to swing an election.
Well, regardless of an election, that's not, to me, not the point. The point is that how do you continue making progress and be respectful of striking that balance? That's why I don't like that street. I could compromise to try to move things in a direction, but having said that, you can't be insensitive to that, and we just we're dotting a lot of St. Pete Drive in a very short, truncated period of time. It's been a long time in the works, but it seems to be coming together all around the same time. And so I hear about it. I know all of you do as well. And so, if it means trying to come up with something that's decorative, that makes it a little bit more palatable from one neighborhood, I'm all for it.
Yeah. You're talking about the wall, right?
The wall and some of these other things, making that road School Street, where it's not open to general traffic, vehicles.
And to your point, I think having someone that's on the board that lives right in that area, they're going to hear from their neighbors. And I think the fact that he voted yes with the bollards kind of maybe shares some of the, if you live down there or I live down there, we would probably hear.
Compromise there. Make it a damn bicycle.
Well, essentially, that's what it does.
Yeah, well, it does. But
Hopefully you have golf
And then
carts.
no cars, no vehicles.
You can put a golf cart through there.
Except it makes it big enough for a fire engine.
right, that's
That's what that does, though.
Yep.
That's the compromise.
Gives us options, and it's
In the
options that
future.
we don't necessarily
But I
have to
haven't
pay
heard that
for with taxpayer
compromise yet.
dollars in the future.
It'll come back when we actually vote on it, Jerry.
Okay.
Okay, any other discussion? I think we're fine. I don't know if you have anything to add. Does anybody have any questions of staff or the applicant in this particular case? I
Not
think
at all.
Tom has gone over what he's going to work with the applicant on, and then it'll come back to us. And this, again, this will not affect the timeline for him. So obviously, as long as everybody's in agreement with.
Well, that's it, yeah.
So, okay.
Okay, item 17 is a request for
Yeah.
council
Sorry,
approval.
apologize.
I don't recall us having a public hearing.
Oh, I apologize. Thank you. This is a public hearing. Does anybody from the public wish to address the city council on this? Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you. Keep us straight.
Item 17 is a request for council approval of a purchase and sale agreement between Oldsmar Towns LLC and the city of Oldsmar, specifically for the 3.79 acres MOL, identified in both agreements as the subject property for the construction of the project referred to in the development agreement. In order for the project to move forward, both the purchase and sale and development agreements must be approved by council. If one fails, the other becomes moot. The negotiated sale price of the properties is $877,182.
Say that again?
$877,182. Included in your packet is the opinion of market value provided by CBRE and requested by council. Staff recommends approval. I am available to answer any questions with Assistant Marie Dauphiné. Our Planning and Redevelopment Director, Tony Tanico, as you've just heard, representing Oldsmar Towns, is also available.
Does staff have anything to add? I have nothing to add. Thank you. Does the applicant wish to address the council
No.
at this point? Thank you. Okay.
Now, would you read that last part again for me?
The dollar figure or the last paragraph?
Well, whatever.
In order for the project to move forward, both the purchase and sale and development agreements must be approved by council. If one fails, the other becomes moot.
Right.
The negotiated sale price of the properties is $877,182. Included in your packet is the opinion of market value, which was provided by CBRE and requested by council.
That's the people we hired.
Yes, sir.
I will make a motion to approve.
I second.
For the purpose of discussion, we have a motion and a second.
They agreed with this price?
No, what they said was, they gave a range. They did
Yeah, right.
a
A low and a
comp,
high.
right? They did a low and a high.
I know
They
that, that's
said-
right. That's what I want this to be opened up.
Yeah, and so they said that the purchase price that's being proposed is almost 20% below the low, and it's 30% below the high. I mean, just for clarity,
On the surface.
on the surface.
I know that.
Because you're talking about the
That's why-
impact fee.
That's why I wanted this brought out and made very
Yeah, I
plain.
mean, yeah. I mean, there's a-
On the surface, I would agree with you.
But see, I'm going to respectfully disagree with you as it relates to on the surface, because they're two different issues.
No, I understand.
The city doesn't waive those impact fees except for very rare situations, right?
They're two
So
different
we have to
animals.
assume, right, so we have to assume, regardless of what we sell the property for, we're collecting impact fees.
Whoever buys it at whatever price, they're gonna pay the impact fee, all those impact fees, so.
Correct.
So we're discounting the project, the property
So when somebody,
by that amount, assuming that the comps are accurate and so forth, but they are our consultants. And so it's kind of difficult not to look at the advice of the people that we entered into a consulting agreement
it's not
with.
difficult, Eric, it's imperative that we look at it.
Because while I think this is absolutely the right project, I do, I think it's a good project, I don't assume that in order for us to have the right project, we have to discount the property. I don't assume that.
So this is the right time, Tom, to discuss that, or would we discuss it with either Marie or the other group?
This is the time to discuss that
Okay,
issue.
good. Now, it's going to be very difficult for me to understand when somebody says, well, I'm paying too much for the property anyway. Well, if you're paying too much for the property, don't buy it. Also, well, we're going to make up all that money because of the impact fees. I don't want to hear that. Because whatever we sell the property for, and if it's worth 1.2 million, probably we will get 1.2 million sooner or later, and then we'll get all the impact fees on top of that.
I don't know that I agree with you on that, but.
What do you mean you don't agree with me? It's in black and white.
Yeah, to your point, ultimately, we may get $1.2 million. It might be 10 years from now.
And it might be next month.
Well, case in point, I looked it up today, the piece of property right at the corner of St. Pete Drive and State Street, the empty property that's there that, what's his name owns, and Randy Mears. That thing has sat there, how long, 10 years? And that's a hard corner.
How well do you know Randy
Or
Mears?
580, the restaurant that was
Right.
going to go there.
580 the restaurant, you know, I mean,
Now
you
the trees are
know,
laying there dead.
There's a lot better visibility right there.
that's a,
Listen, I'm not a commercial realtor. I don't think anybody else up here is either. You're in the real estate business.
I've done commercial real estate.
Okay. Well, that wasn't a diss to you, but.
No.
I know you're.
I'm not, it's not my forte.
Right. But that is what our consultants do.
What's Randy
Right,
Mears
and so
asking
that-
for?
That's the only thing that I would say that, that wasn't an appraisal, right? Where they get in and the appraisal.
That was a desktop.
Which has no consideration to what things are selling for in the market. It was a more realistic one that was relevant to what things, that they all had comps. You know, granted, one of them was on Hillsborough, I think. Or Memorial, I think.
That's a big.
Okay, so, but they adjusted for it, though.
All right.
So I'm just saying, I
Randy,
want this project to move forward, but I have to tell you, how do you support selling property for 20 to 30% below?
And can I bring this up? And I will go the opposite way on that. We had a piece of property, and I don't remember the exact numbers, and somebody correct me if they know better, but it's the strip center at the place next door. It appraised at $650,000, and there was discussion on this council at some point that maybe we should just go ahead and figure out a way to pay the $1 million. So we've argued both sides of this, that we've had discussion that maybe we should up the ante to get that piece of property to bring it into the fold for the development next door. The appraisal said 650.
It's not, those are apples and oranges.
No,
I'm
it's
sorry,
not.
Mr.
No, it is not.
We own all the other property around there. I would
We're
suggest you
offering
this.
850, I think, or
Yeah,
800 something.
I mean, my point is we're offering over the appraisal. So if you're using the appraisal as the basis, we didn't use the appraisal on that. We were willing to go over it.
It wasn't an appraisal, it was a market, comp, right? A
No,
little
that-
different. That one was.
Right.
But, which doesn't necessarily reflect what things are selling for in the market.
Yeah, it does. It uses comparable sales.
Okay, but at the end of the day, that's one piece of property and we own everything around. It's a little different. With all due respect,
it is.
It has more value to us than discounting property that we have. That's all I'm saying.
And I guess to that point.
So is that how you get comfortable with it? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm comfortable with it without that. I was thinking about that today, but, I'll take it back to Pokemon days, and my son, he said, this book says that this Pokemon card is worth $500. I said, it's worth what somebody will pay you for it.
Absolutely.
And I don't know that just because CBRE, let's just play devil's advocate. Let's just say we didn't approve this and we turn it over to CBRE to bring us somebody that'll pay 1.2 and they can't do it. It happens all the time.
Sure.
How much is Randy asking for his piece of
I
property?
think it's
1.5?
1.5.
For a very long time now.
Yeah.
And it's got no visibility
Yeah.
from any main road, the same as this property. I mean, there's zero visibility. We
Wait a minute,
can't even
Ann?
get a downtown because we have zero visibility to our downtown, which this road intersects
He
with.
does have visibility. It's right on St. Pete Drive.
That's not a visible street.
Well, this is not a visible street.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm saying it's worth less than we really think it is because it's not on a visible, marketable street. But it's going to help it give more visibility because you're bringing more people
Also,
into
let's think
downtown.
at the
I
end of
know
the
him
day,
real well. He's going to ask so much money into finding, he doesn't want to sell that.
Oh, yes, he does. He
let's
wants to-
think about the end of the day when the units are all done and all the tax revenue we're gonna take in the city. That's
that got
gonna
to do
add
with
to
it?
it.
That's a
If
component.
somebody else buys it, we're going to get the tax.
We're gonna
revenue.
get the money. The city of Oldsmar will.
I think it's the
Who do
right
you-
time in
well,
the
who do you think's
market.
gonna
It's a
get
good
it?
project. I think if we.
We are.
Hold on.
Hold
One at a time.
And what you're talking about.
Hold on. Gabby's talking, if you could
I'm
respect
just
her
saying,
conversation.
we've had these discussions even about downtown where we've waited because we're like, oh, this isn't the right developer, this isn't the right time, or we could do better, or this isn't what we really want.
Waited to pull the trigger,
Whereas
yeah.
we know, hey, this is a great piece of property, it's in a great area where we're looking to develop, it's a great project, and it's the right time in the market, I think, to move this project forward.
I agree.
That's an opinion.
I mean, for a little bit more money that may never come, maybe we could negotiate a little bit higher, delay things. I just, you know,
And that's a very good point. I thought of the same thing. And I do respect your thought on that. And I'll give you an example. I had a country bar in Pinellas Park for, we had it at $3.3 million, which was a pipe dream. We finally got it down to 1.7 over a year and a half, still never had a buyer. He had somebody, and this is to my CBRE point, he had somebody that came to him and sold him a pipe dream that he could get 1.9 out of it. It's been sitting on the market at 1.9 for, another half a year. So could we get another $50,000, $75,000, $100,000 out of it? Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I don't know that we're guaranteed those CBRE numbers by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, you can't guarantee land.
No, I mean, I respect their opinion, but
I think, what it lends itself to is looking at, before we get into the future of the downtown property, and the city manager and I had this conversation a little bit the other day, and that is, this has come about in a unique way. I will grant that.
It came through the back door somewhere.
Back door sometimes has like a negative connotation to it. And I don't think that's really the way it should be perceived, for me anyhow.
Yeah.
I think it did come about in a unique way. It's someone who the city has worked with before, hence there's a comfort level there. The project they did over at Wellington's beautiful, right? But we did not put it out there from the beginning to have an opportunity to know if these are the only buyers for what we want done. I would have totally agreed that their compromise on price is worth it as long as you're not compromising and you're getting exactly what you want. There's value there. I don't disagree. But I think moving forward as we get into some of this, we're not developers up here, right? And it's the people's land. And so when someone says to me, so you voted to sell a piece of property for 20% less, as much as 30% less than it's worth, and it's taken the city over a decade to accumulate that land, better have a really good response as to why we did that. And I would say that there might be an argument to be made, but I just hope moving forward, especially if we're parceling out stuff, depending on the way it comes back from our consultants, that we're going through a process that allows us to be able to say, nobody else offered to buy it for more, kind of. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and if I could, I wanted to ask Al this question, and I think this also helps me because I'm very much conscious of the taxpayer dollars and what we do. And if I could ask Al, this gives me a little more comfort. While I respect what you're saying, we don't know that we might get more than we're doing. What did we talk about today? What did we kind of come up with for the value that we paid for this particular piece of property?
About a 35% gain from what was put
These
out.
are pieces of other properties. The combination total of what makes up the parcel to be developed cost us about $557,000.
I just want that to be out there so that in the public. So, I mean, it's not like we're losing money on the thing. And I think if I'm hearing you correctly too, unique thing that came about, which I don't think is a bad thing. And correct me if I'm wrong, you may know, or somebody may know, I think the John Buse Hayes Park cottages came the same way.
I think it did.
It was a very unique thing. We never went out to the market to see what really could go in there. We found a deal that worked for us. We were able to sell the property. Did we get back what we thought? We got back, yeah, I mean, we got back what we thought worked with that project. I think we
That
got
was a totally different deal.
no, it's not a totally different deal.
It is because we put up the money.
But it was our property. My point is, we didn't go out there and look for somebody to come develop it.
But remember.
It was unique because John brought us the
But
product.
remember, the first deal he brought us got killed.
Yeah, I get that. I understand that. But I'm saying that
But
if
you
we didn't.
understand it, but you didn't bring it up.
Well, okay, but my point is, we didn't go out to see what else could be built there and what else could be
Right.
done, and we got 20,000 a lot, I think, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
20,000 a blank.
A blank, and
52 lots.
52 lots. I don't know if that, I think we came closer to,
And I understand rule of thumb's 15 for like napkin talk.
yeah.
Is 15, 20 a blank.
But we stopped it.
50 blanks.
We said, that's not the best deal. And so he came back, and we made a better deal the second time.
Okay.
And that's what we're doing. Well, and that's not what we're not doing. See, I don't know what this piece of land is going to sell for, but I do know this. We are the caretakers of the land of the city of Oldsmar.
Absolutely.
And if we sell a piece of land 30%, 35%, or 25% below what a citizen perceives we could have got, you can get killed at an election.
Yeah, I don't really care about elections, you know.
It's not a, well, you should care about an
Oh, I'd
election.
have to do what's right, not because of an election.
I'm telling you, this is not right.
Okay, well, and I'll make one more point, and that I've weighed into this is, could we get another $50,000 or $100,000 more? Maybe, maybe not. But we also still control the rest of the land all the way up to State Street, you know, another 3-something acres, I think. I think this is going to set precedent on the value of the rest of that land. And
It's also going to say, well, now, they didn't get the value that was in it, so we might as well
It's a new
go in there and
comp,
try
but
to
no, just, you know, that's
let's try to get
actually the truth.
30%.
I disagree. I mean, I would disagree with that.
Well,
I mean, sometimes,
Well, I don't always vote the same
sometimes
way.
somebody has to put some skin in the game to make that first, you know, case in point is across here, we can't get somebody to put skin in the game across the street, you know? And so, you know, that's why we're at the third or fourth time to the drawing board on this. That's all I have to add to it. I mean, those are the
It does
justifications.
increase
that-
the value of the land longer term, maybe not an immediate comp, but in the longer term, it would. And it would create more demand for other people to want to develop those areas. I
John
agree.
Buse owns a
And
piece
get
right.
that great big discount.
John Buse, no, I disagree. John Buse owns that piece right across the street. You know, I'm sure he.
Waverly Place
Yeah,
that he
so-
designed a long time ago. So,
You know,
and
this
a lot
could-
of them look at the success of these other sales or projects for wanting to create their own. So he's had that project.
I don't know if
designed
I'm
years ago.
speaking out of school, but I think John Buse was somewhat approached, but his team that he has worked with really didn't have any interest in this particular piece of property.
No, you're right. You know, I mean, that's a key factor. It was delayed, so somebody, it's the only thing that gives me comfort.
That he was, yeah.
That you know, look, this is not a new subject. It was put out there, it was actually delayed, requested more information, and nobody stepped up.
Yeah.
So, you know, there is some comfort in that somebody didn't go, oh, well, there's an opportunity. And
It's
you know,
all the
look, you don't want to bag the person you're working with in good faith. But there's like that balance there of saying, okay, it's 10 years worth of collections of property.
Dale, do you want to say anything? Do you want to comment on anything else?
No, sir.
Okay.
You know, and to that point, real estate is a very interesting thing. Somebody in my neighborhood that, in the middle of the thing, thought they could get more money and thought they could get more money. John Pinta, former mayor's son, you know, and they got a great offer. I mean, top notch, top dollar. They held out for another 2 months. The market went in the crapper and the house went into foreclosure. So, I mean, could we get another 100,000? Maybe. We might have to wait.
Hey, listen.
I don't know. I wish if I had a crystal ball, I'd be the best realtor in the world, so.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at it purely saying, okay, we went to our consultants
Okay.
and they,
Do we have anybody that wants to make a motion on anything?
there already was one.
Yeah,
Oh, I apologize.
Yeah,
That's
we
right.
were in discussion. so
Motion and a
I'm-
second. We have a motion and a second.
For what? Thought we weren't going to vote on this.
approve.
No,
is
this is on the property sale. It is being voted on. There's a motion made.
Yeah, this
by
is a
Gabby and
different item.
seconded by Dan.
This is a voting
The other one
item.
was for the development agreement.
So we have a motion and a second. I'm willing to hear any more ideas. I mean, I think the great part about this is we all do listen to each other. I think the previous item with the compromise is something that is a result of dialogue, so.
I think it's a good project.
We have a motion and a second to approve the purchase contract as presented tonight. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Absolutely, I oppose, and I'm going to bring it up at the elections.
Okay. Passes 4-1. Is that it?
I think so.
How's that?
That's fine.
How do you really feel?
That's good. City Clerk?
Well, I just want to thank Councilmember Beaverland for bringing up the minutes, because it's a very strong indicator that we have become out of balance, and it's something that's bothered Kathy and I for a long time. Although the meetings are on YouTube fairly quickly, the standard is to have them done by the next meeting, because it's not a good service to our council to expect them to approve something that's months down the road. So, but Al and I have been talking, and there's processes and different things that we can change to make that a better,
And I think that's great, and I appreciate Councilmember Beaverland bringing it up. And it's no reflection on you guys, but if it's something that we're not able to accomplish, and this applies to anything that we do in this city, that if the workload is such that we can't get to the things that need to be gotten to, we need to somehow correct it, so.
Yeah, there's got to be some, I mean, how much time do we really want them spending writing out what we've already discussed?
So-
You know what I mean? There's got to be
Yep.
better ways
So I
that we
think-
can look at. We look at automation in our permitting and things of that nature.
I think that's great,
You know,
so, thank you,
so-
yeah, yeah. I didn't mean for it to be out necessarily, but at
That's
any
all,
rate.
thank you.
Thank you. Council member comments, we'll start with Councilmember Seidel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do have a couple of comments. I don't know if anybody noticed or caught it in the newspaper the other day, but there was an article in there about the Tampa City Council passing some ordinances regarding the 5G wireless changes that have been passed by the state legislature. And I was curious, I was trying to kind of surmise, okay, what, because we've been preempted on that. And so I was trying to figure out, well, maybe there are some small things that we can do. I don't know, Tom, if you've heard any kind of action that councils are taking that still fits within the new laws that have taken effect, but.
None of the cities that we represent have jumped to that. I mean, we've talked about it in the city of Dunedin. They are looking at, what type of approach that they're going to take. But nobody in Pinellas County that I'm aware of is addressing it right now.
Can you take a look at that, though, and maybe come back? Because if there is something we can do that's a little proactive, maybe it doesn't give us exactly what we'd want, but it gives us some kind of coverage, it would be good to see.
John Schaefer in my office has been working on that particular issue for a couple of months now. He has rendered a couple of opinions and memos and so forth. What I can do is because we had him look into it when the legislation was being considered, I can gather that together and provide that to you.
Great, thank you, sir. A few other things. Want to thank everyone who came out, all the people here in the audience.
Especially this side of the room.
Especially that side of the room. Came out and supported the efforts that Suda and Hector and that whole committee. Some really dynamic people on that committee. I've said it before, but put together that kind of undertaking in that short of a time with that much success. If you haven't seen it, I should have brought one in, but I think it's kind of cool. Even the labels that they had designed, hashtag Oldsmar Strong for Puerto Rico, putting on every box that's going over there, it just kind of sends a message. I'll tell you, when we were out there collecting items at Walmart, and mind you, they've had collection points that we kind of set up at different churches and stuff, but that was really the big day. It was interesting where there were two different families in the time that I was there that had come up, and they just have arrived from Puerto Rico. And they're staying with people here locally. And they just, so grateful that here they come, to the mainland. And in the small town of Oldsmar, the citizens are pulling together to send stuff there. And it's just such a goodwill gesture that it's something that I know everyone should really feel proud about. I have a ride-along. It's not booked completely, but I do have all the paperwork filled out as I submitted it. To go with the
You're gonna love that.
with the sheriff's department,
Fun.
and I promise I will not mirror what the movie Ride Along was. So anyhow, that's coming up, and that's help our community there. I requested for it to be in Oldsmar too.
That's what I did.
Did you?
It was awesome.
I don't have the clout Gabby has, so I can't do the helicopter.
Helicopter?
No. Quick question. Who's attending the ribbon cutting tomorrow morning, bright and early?
Driving to Stream Song right after this tonight, so I will not be there.
I will be there,
You Dave,
Yep.
sing on too?
6:30. I was there tonight.
And I'm gonna try to be there too. I just
Yeah.
figured I'd ask.
I got to be there by 6:30, but yeah.
And the last thing I have, Mr. Mayor, is just a follow-up. I know Dan probably had some comments on it as well. I did have the opportunity to meet with Representative Grant, along with our city manager, and I had a very, which I thought it was a positive meeting. We were pretty candid with the representative on the concerns we have over the lack of support of home rule. Asked for his commitment on specific things. I don't think he really fully committed. What he did commit was to try to work with us. It's kind of like up here on council sometime, right? When you see the way the vote's going, and you're not changing the vote at this time, a lot of times I'll get on board because I want to have the ability to call to reconsider if that opportunity presents itself.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think his comments were that, look, sometimes there's legislation that's going to pass. What I can try to do is impact it with their different carve-outs and opportunities. But he was pretty candid and straightforward that it's difficult for him to have a massive impact on some of the legislation that becomes really the directive and priority of the speaker. Having said that, I said, what's more important? Good committees or getting elected? We're pretty direct. He was a little late for our meeting, which I think actually worked out better in some ways, because we had the opportunity to meet with his legislative assistant. So you didn't have to be as polite, in some ways. It was a good conversation.
Well, who did you meet with, him or the assistant?
Both.
Both. Okay. And so at the end of the day, though, I did walk away. I mean, the big message that we were driving home was, look, we enjoy what we feel is a really good relationship with our senator, with our state senator, with county commissioners, with everyone but you. We don't have that relationship with you, and maybe that's our fault.
No, it's
because
not
we
our
haven't. Let me
fault.
finish. That we haven't invested the same kind of time. But we want it from you too. And he agreed and said, look, we don't even have representation from the House side in the county delegation because we're in you, over here with you. And so we had that conversation. We got very deep into that type of conversation, that perhaps there's some initiatives that he has that we could rally behind, but we want to have that kind of relationship with him. And he agreed. He said, it's been difficult. I've come to what I've been asked to come. It does need to be a wider net of when I think of my representation of Oldsmar. And so what I would say is I thought it was a positive first meeting. Clearly we don't align completely on some of the issues as it relates to home rule. Some of the legislation that we thought we anticipated was going to be proposed, he thought was not going to be, because we talked about a couple of specific things, and they didn't feel that that was going to be part of the session. So, my assessment.
Do you wish to share what those are, just so we don't waste effort on any of those? And there are several reserves.
I don't remember specifically what the one that there were a couple that he said. We talked about reserves.
Right, CRA.
We talked a lot about CRA, and he didn't feel that there was going to be as much on the CRA front as we did. He didn't agree with the league's assessment. And, so we were kind of like, oh, look, here's our scorecard for you. We're looking for commitments from you, not just, words. But I did feel like, that there was progress made. It's probably the best way to put it. It's a difficult situation for all cities, period. Dan shared that article today about the future another speaker, and, there seems to be this line of speakers that are really,
Against home rule.
yeah, I mean, they're trying to, and the question that we had the discussion on was, what is home rule? Right? And so that's probably a fair discussion to have, because we tend to lump a lot of stuff into that. But anyhow, long and short, I'm rambling a little bit. I thought it was progress, and there seems to be a genuine willingness to try to work closer together. He actually is trying to assist us in some of the budgetary areas. We talked to him about, what was it, Al?
Transportation, water resource.
What was the?
The funding we're trying to get
Harbor
from
Palms.
Harbor Palms,
About perhaps
infrastructure.
maybe getting some earmarks for that, because it might fit into what appears to be the agenda for the legislature up there. And, as it relates to our member of the House, specifically Representative Grant, we haven't really put a lot of emphasis in that area with him. And that's part of the whole need to work closer together, because that ultimately helps our citizens here. So anyhow, progress. That's all I got, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, I mean, if I could, to that point, the frustrating part that I see is that, and we've had this dialogue that, because there are a few cities or municipalities that are either abusing reserve or abusing CRA or abusing home rule, using that loosely, why do you punish everybody? I'm all in favor of making it tougher and more transparent. Tourism, okay, if tourism boards don't want to be transparent about their spending, then cut them off or, restrict them. I'm fine with that. Or CRAs, if you don't meet certain requirements, but to punish the whole lot of everybody. And the other point, and I think I mentioned to you, is, it's just, and I hear what you're saying about Jamie, but, there are so many of those guys drinking the speaker's Kool-Aid that it's just, and even Chris Sprouls, who's in line to be the speaker next, who I know Mr. Beaverland has a relationship with, I think, but Chris Sprouls is petitioning people to replace Kathleen Peterson that are going to drink the Kool-Aid. I mean, it's just, they're, as you said, they're lining them up. So that's the frustrating part. They don't really care. They're just trying to.
Well, and if you look at Pinellas County geographically and the number of cities we have, so, within the county, you're going to get, in my opinion, you're going to get representatives that clearly support home rule. And why? Because if they don't, they're dead, right? I mean, they're DOA, because there's so many cities here. Right? You go outside of our county, over the hills, it starts to change.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
We're unique. Go down to South Florida and they'll hang you for it.
Yep. Anyway, that's my input. Sorry about that. Councilmember Beaverland?
Well, you're starting to hit mine.
He's jumping around tonight.
Is that all right?
Yeah, I don't care.
Oh.
First of all, I want to thank everybody out there for their comments. And I was really surprised at how many phone calls and how many cards we got, because we didn't really make a big issue out of it. Losing my youngest son, my beautiful wife, now losing Sean. We got cards that filled the big dining room table that we have, and the money that Oldsmar Cares and the library received in honor of Sean. I just want to thank everybody for their comments and their sincere feelings for that. The only other thing I have is that I know the council has in the past, and I know that the planning department is death on this, making sure that anybody that builds something on Tampa Road, that you damn sure better landscape it in a beautiful way. Well, after they landscape it in a beautiful way, then everybody walks away. Who makes sure they keep the landscape up? What department does that? Who?
Code enforcement.
Then I would suggest code enforcement drive down Tampa Road and visit a bunch of people. If we're going to have landscape, then they can take care of it. And I believe in that the land, pretty landscape. And And just thank you all, and that's it.
It's funny you say that. I was driving to, I don't know where I was going, but I was going by the airport right there where you go Independence and all that. And I felt the same way. I'm like, we spend tens of millions of dollars building these interstates and these overpasses that look beautiful when they're done with them. And now they look like chia pets because they got crap growing out of the sides of them. They're, they're unkept. And I'm like, I'd rather not.
Doesn't make any sense.
Where's the, and it just looks awful,
And just one note for Jerry, what you said, Jerry, the Steak and Shake is horrible. Their bushes are all dead in front on Tampa Road, right on the corner.
Well,
7-Eleven's not much better.
Look at CBS. I mean, you can look at a lot of them. Anyway, thank you all.
Mr. Mayor, can I add one thing that was really important that I intended to add, and I didn't read my own handwriting? And that is for everyone to keep Babe.
I just wrote that.
Babe Wright in your thoughts and prayers. You know, she was in a car accident last night. I don't know if you knew that. Yeah, somebody ran the intersection
of St. Pete and State.
Right over here in St. Pete and State. She was in her truck. She was supposed to get released from the hospital today. I spoke to Ralph. I called and he called me back. She had 3 broken ribs and was in a lot of pain, but they kept her overnight. She seems to be okay outside of that, but she was supposed to get released today. So.
I'll go see her tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I'll advise her on how to sue them.
Well, there you go. But anyhow.
They caught him because he drove into the woods by Beamworks, thought he could get away.
That's right. Well, if they had a road there, he might have got away. But anyhow.
Not if the bollards were there.
Probably would have gone right over. Anyhow, but keep her and her family in your prayers.
Absolutely. She's been one of the best friends of this city for the last, since
long time.
She's coming from the Organic Garden, I think, a meeting or something like that, yeah.
Anyhow, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember McGee?
Just a couple things. Congrats to Bruce on the designation. I'm sorry to have missed it this afternoon. And then also, I'm really excited for the city tomorrow for the Earth Fair grand opening. I'm sad I'm missing it. I actually am driving tonight an hour and a half to Streamsong we have a partner, some executives in town this week that I have a meeting with them tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. So I won't be able to be at the ribbon cutting, but I am beyond thrilled that we have an organic, healthy grocery store now available in the city of Oldsmar. I think it's huge for us, and I'm pretty sure they're only their second one in the Tampa Bay area.
Seminole in here.
So it's huge for our city. I mean, I had friends years ago, when I first started sending out site proposals, the only reason I even sent one to Earth Fair was because a friend of mine who was from Tennessee was like, you should send one to Earth Fair. They have the best deli. It's better than Whole Foods. I had never even heard of them at the time. This was before they were even in the state of Florida. So it's a really big deal. I'm super excited about that. And then also, sorry to have missed the Walmart drive for Puerto Rico. I actually was in Sarasota all weekend for our annual Cisco team building. And then lastly, I just want to make a quick comment that David Banther is a really good friend of mine on the Tarpon Springs City Council, and I know he'll do a really great job representing Oldsmar. He really, really likes the city a lot, so.
Good.
And that's all I have.
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I just want to say that the revealing of the Bruce Haddock sign tonight was pretty cool. That was pretty exciting to see that. That sign that company donated was absolutely beautiful. I just wanted to mention that. That was pretty neat. I sent Al an email about the cars were being parked on Oak Leaf Boulevard. Next day, I guess Tina did a sign, the Parks Division installed the no parking sign, the Sheriff's Department took care of the people that were parking on the road, and it was like amazing how fast our city works. And I just want to shout out and say thank you to everybody. To Gabby, we went to the open house tonight at Earth Fair. The food was incredible. Doug was picking on me because I was eating so much.
Because he had just came from another place where he was eating.
But I told Paul, I said, you got to go get those lobster tails for $5 and those filet mignons for $5, and they were sold out already.
Yeah, they didn't have any.
They were gone. So, but anyways, that was really exciting, and you're right, Gabby. The food is all organic, and everything was delicious, and it's a really nice store. Pretty exciting to have that here in Oldsmar. Last night I went to the kickoff for the Oldsmar Relay for Life, which we approved today, and my wife Paula joined me a little bit late because she was at Zumba, at Oldsmar Zumba, and she came in and now she's already got her committee and she's got her own team already all set up. And her team is too fit to quit. She's already contacted 2 yoga establishments. They're going to come out to the park and do yoga classes, and she's going to take donations for yoga and all exercise classes during the day of the Relay for Life. As Eric said, I got to meet with James Grant. He came to my office with Trent. They had a hard time trying to find it. They finally got there. We had a very productive meeting. A lot of the same stuff that Eric talked to him about. I don't want to go over that again. But the one main thing that I was very adamant with him was I wanted him to open up the communication to the council so that if he comes into a situation in Tallahassee where it's something to do with our city, that I want him to send all of us an email and communicate with us on what's going on so that we can continue to be updated. And I really felt that after my meeting, that Eric and I and the rest of the council members have to reach out to him more often to communicate with him so that we can make it clear on how we stand with our city so that he can represent us correctly. The second thing that I really enjoyed about the meeting was Trent offered me a spot in Tallahassee at their office so that when I go up there for a session, that I can take my laptop, I can leave it in their office, it's going to be secure, I'll have internet access so I can work, and I thought that was really appreciative of them to offer that to me. So that was my one meeting. Then I also had a meeting with Catherine Peters of District 69, and we basically talked about the same thing, but she was more focused on her new role as running for county commissioner. So she's still going to be in Tallahassee. She did invite me up there, and she did give me some pointers on how to handle if I do have meetings with Jeff Prandis or any other House of Representatives or Senate people, and she gave me some good pointers on that. The last 2 other things I want to mention is I did not have my knee surgery, and I just want to explain that it was a godsend, and thank you, Lord, because it wasn't just supposed to happen, and I'm glad it didn't happen right now because there's a lot going on. Make a long story short, there was a lot of pressure to get it done fast because my surgeon is going to have surgery next week, so he's going to be out until Christmas, so that was the last day I could get it, and going to Cuba, I caught a cold. They were concerned about infections, so the operation was canceled. And I'm glad it was because I just feel so much better. I'm back to my normal self, and I'm glad that's over with. And I'm going to have it done after session, which will be sometime in February. And then, Jerry, last thing I want to mention, I always support you. I agree with everything that you say. And most of all, I love your history lessons, and I respect you. I just want you to know that. And the last thing for council I have is I got an email last week. I was elected to go to EMO 4 for the Florida League of Cities. It's going to be the inaugural class. I went to EMO 1, 2, 3. I've graduated for all those 3 classes, and this is the inaugural class, and I was accepted. I'm very honored that the Florida League of Cities has picked me to go to EMO 4, which is going to be in Orlando in December. And that's the last thing I have.
Do we still have budget? Have you run through budget yet?
Yep, I already talked to Al, and he approved it. Too bad, Eric. I'm kidding.
You know, all joking aside, I know we talked about this once before, and it wasn't on you, but we do need to kind of look at the whole budgeting out almost by council person, because if you don't use it by a certain time, then maybe it goes back into the general, I don't know.
I don't think
education.
I don't think I've gone over.
We don't have a per person rep, so you wouldn't have gone over.
Okay.
You know, now you probably have used up all of our share of it, but I mean, it's benefiting you.
I love it. I actually love it. So I really enjoy it, and I've met a lot of people around the state that go to the class, and I really do enjoy it. I feel like I'm going back to college again. I really enjoy it.
But anyhow.
Yeah, and we've had that dialogue. I don't know that I'm a fan of breaking it into individual things, but at least monitoring. And I think, what was the discussion we had?
Was it at the budget meeting?
Was that the work
The
session?
budget meeting? That we would What was it, what was the resolution that we would,
I can give it to you either way. It doesn't even matter if you split it. We can just go back and track who did what, give it to you however you
Thought we
want.
came up with some,
You wanted more of a itemized
Process.
report.
what did we?
but we did have, but there was something,
That came out of
and I
it.
brought up a particular situation at the workshop, but where we kind of at least have some guidelines that, okay, this is a big expense. Is there benefit for the city, coming back?
Like maybe over a certain amount needs to come before the council to
Right, I
agree
think it-
or
I thought it
something
was
like
something like
that.
that.
I mean, I don't think we came up with anything formalized.
No, we
I think
didn't.
we just discussed that maybe we should talk about it in the future.
Not blindly.
For future,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, if it's things we're all going to, and, stuff like what he's doing, but,
Like personal certification, but if it's a very big expense and maybe we determine a dollar amount, then maybe
yeah.
it needs to come.
I'm fine with the dollar amount, and I don't know what that could be, but, and then I think it was, give us some kind of a summary report as to our council budget, I guess, and where we're at and what expenses we've had,
When we're approving it.
debit, yeah, and then at least we can see where we're at,
Works.
so that works.
And Dan just said he'd stay over at Motel 6, and Burger King or McDonald's has his.
Yeah.
per
He's
diem.
gonna,
VW bus.
Light on for you.
he's gonna leave the light on.
Take my camper.
He's gonna,
There you go.
he's
Camp
gonna,
right in the bus.
he's gonna get bunk beds with Jamie Grant, is that what
Oh,
he's?
great.
I don't have a whole lot. I was at the Earth Fair thing tonight. I got to be there at 6:30 tomorrow morning. I'm excited about it. I think it's neat that they, came into the, into this city and into that plaza. I think it says volumes towards what Gabby had already, saw and reaching out to them. And I don't know what it is. What's the other one that's in there? Five Below? That's another one that just committed to going in there. I'm not exactly sure what that is. Is that like a everything's under $5? Is that what it is? So, I mean, but that was great. Thoughts, obviously out to Babe and that situation, so.
Yeah, thanks for telling me. I didn't know.
Yeah, we just, I mean, I literally just drove by it last night and I thought, it couldn't be a car accident because it's such a low-speed area.
Yeah,
But lo and behold, it was someone that was not following the speed.
Right.
he creamed her, so.
Yeah.
People go through that stop sign.
Yeah, they blow through it. What was the other thing? Oh, Oktoberfest for this weekend, especially the 11 to 5 shift. That's probably the best shift out there.
Gabby, you gonna be there?
Yeah, I'll be there. And we are going to get creamed
It's so busy.
from 11 to 5.
I
Because
know.
Sunday with the football games may not be as busy, but we are
They
going.
have what they've done is and I don't know if they've gotten it to work, they got an HD antenna and they bought a 42 or 48 inch TV that they're gonna show the game or, I don't know, baseball or football or whatever the case may be. And then they're gonna raffle the TV off at the end of the game, at the end of Oktoberfest.
Oh, that's
So,
neat.
yeah,
Yeah,
so.
cool.
Weather should be great. What?
Go ahead. Sorry, nope.
And so, I thought I made another note. No, that's it. And I echo this, and I know that it gets heated up here sometimes, but I absolutely respect everybody up here and the opinions. And, I can't remember what meeting it was that said that somebody accused us of coming in with our minds already made up. And that was related to them as an audience talking to us. And I think to us up here on the council, I don't think that applies to us either. I think we may have an idea of where we want to go, but, I'm open to decisions. I thought we made some nice compromise today and some good dialogue about both of those items. So I'm not so crazy about the organic garden thing, but whatever. You gotta pick and choose your battles, so, but at
I
any
just want to
rate.
say
And they
one,
look pretty tough.
I just want to say one thing. Eric had already filled all the slots to work the beer tent. I asked him, since I did my surgery, if I could work with Paula, but you're all booked. So what I'm going to do is if you guys want to take a break, Paula and I are going to be there anyways.
That's fine.
If
I have to break all the time because I gotta run the event.
There you
so.
go, then I can help. And it's
This
just, I can't, because Gabby, if you remember 2 years ago when I was there, my knee just was,
Yeah.
I couldn't.
Yeah, between the
Drinking all the beer.
drinking all the beer and eating all the food.
I'm not gonna drink any beer.
Every time you turn around, where's Dan? He's overeating somewhere, so.
It's that German food, what do you want from me?
But it should be really, really good. They got a new German sponsor and they've put about $10,000 of promotional stuff into it.
They also, I understand, have a new setup for the way that they're doing the beer booth. That apparently is going to require less manpower, is what I was told.
Yeah, that, and they're actually opening it to, you used to have to drink it all at Oktoberfest, and then if you had kids that wanted it, similar to here too, or at the park, that if you wanted to go to the carnival, you know, you had to finish, so now it's all fenced and you can go, they can take their kids over there and have a beer.
Take a beer and go on a Ferris wheel. That's,
Well, whatever, no, but if you want to take your kids over there and
Yeah.
do
Sure.
that, and, yeah, so at any
Not
rate.
torture the parents, you know?
Yep. Al, Tom, anything from you?
I had one thing.
Oh.
Representative Grant's office contacted us today and offered to help with the overpass
Nice.
on top of the money for the infrastructure.
good.
Still subject to the
Right.
speaker's whim, but they offered we file another application for appropriations money, they'd support it.
Good.
And I'm going to throw this one more comment in here. When we met with Grant, it was kind of interesting, like brand new city manager. I mean, it's pretty brand new. Was working the system there pretty good. Right away, I was impressed. I'm like, good job.
He's learned a little from Haddock, you know, so, but
Anyhow.
that's good, that's good news. And if there's anything that we can do,
Yeah,
you know,
could
to help, you know, bend some ears.
Grant is always going to support the overpass, which is good, because Jack Revolve told him he didn't have a choice. Now that I know for a fact.
That relationship, I don't think is as
It's
cozy
strong.
as it used to be.
You said something about the communication. I get to put another beautiful gold star on my wall.
You're 4-1?
Yep,
Oh, man,
and I'm on the back end.
that's
I
right.
love gold stars.
Wait, he puts stars up when he disagrees with us?
Yeah, I guess. Have a wall full of stars. I agree
Is
with
that why
you.
you're always saying, I'm seeing stars?
Hey, I've been on the downside of a vote, but you got to vote your heart, you know, so.
That's what I'm going to do.
Nothing else? Boom, de boom, boom, boom.